About 2,111. Now, I'm going to just see if you can see this. I'll get this developed properly for air, but you can see this map here. There's a refinery that's going from Houston. Let's just pull that back. I'll just get it up here so you can see it. Wolf, can you kind of see that?
Yeah, we can see it. That's good.
Okay, so that refinery is going from Louisiana to Houston. That's a refined pipeline. It's called the Explorer Pipeline. It's one of the major pipelines in the country. It takes refined products, diesel, jet fuel, and gasoline up through to St. Louis, which is a major distribution center, and then to Chicago. These are two major distribution centers in the country. That line is shut down. Gasoline is not flowing there. Now, you saw after Katrina, when the line that was going to the northeast was shut down, you saw shortages in certain places. Now, CNN has called 120 gas stations in the Houston area. 82 of them are not answering the phone. We do know some of those are shut. 31 of them are out of gas. 7 of them, as of about 20 minutes ago, had gas, might be running out. Some of them are evacuating. We are now seeing, this is not a long-term situation, Wolf. This is not a shortage of oil. It is refineries that have shut down. Almost all of the 26 refineries in the region are shut down now, and we are going to see gas issues in the next 1 to 3 weeks. That's from the Department of Energy.
We'll feel it here. The impact will be on all of us. Ali, thank you very much. Just after 4 p.m. here in Washington, and you're in the Situation Room, where news and information from around the world arrive in one place simultaneously. Happening now, Hurricane Rita, it's still huge, terribly dangerous, and moving closer to land just after 3 p.m. Central in the Rita strike zone along the Texas-Louisiana coast. We'll keep you up to the minute on where this superstorm is heading and when it will hit. An exodus from Texas. This hour, highways out of Houston jammed. Galveston right now a virtual ghost town, and officials keep warning residents to get out before it's too late. Louisiana's nightmare, a second hurricane, another flood threat. Can the battered levees and exhausted citizens take it? I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. This hour, hurricane experts warning residents in Rita's likely target area not to let their guard down just because the storm has been downgraded from a Category 5 to a Category 4. Rita's winds still fierce, clocked at 150 miles an hour. Right now, the storm expected to strike land early Saturday between Galveston and the Texas-Louisiana border. Most of Galveston's nearly 58,000 residents have left the island city over the past few days under a mandatory evacuation order. And the mayor is warning anyone left to move on out today. People also are fleeing the Houston area as Rita approaches. After some delays, all lanes of Interstate 45 have been ordered open to northbound traffic to try to ease the crush of vehicles. To the east, in New Orleans, the city so hard hit by Katrina could now be drenched again, this time by Rita's rains, and that could simply overwhelm the city's levee system, newly repaired but still very, very fragile. We'll go to our David Mattingly in Galveston in just a moment. First, though, to the CNN Hurricane Center, our meteorologist Jackie Jarris with the latest forecast. Jackie?
Well, Wolf, Rita is a storm that's been in a state of constant flux, and we've seen a lot of those changes in the intensity, and we've had some shifts in the forecast track. The motion on the storm has been west-northwest throughout the day, but as we've been analyzing the storm throughout the afternoon, we're noticing that over the last number of hours, it has gone farther to the north than the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center that came in at the 11 o'clock advisory. Now, this could just be a little bit wobble, and it could just as easily go right back a little bit more westerly and continue on the forecast track. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to make a major change, but if it continues in this direction, that could shift the forecast track once again. Of course, we're anticipating an update from the National Hurricane Center. That will come in before the end of this hour, and we will bring that to you. But the latest advisory from them has winds at 150 miles per hour. Keeps it at, actually should say Category 4. It's at Category 4 status at this time. And here's that forecast track that we've been talking about. We still have all eyes on eastern Texas and southwestern Louisiana. It looks like it's going to be nearly impossible to escape the hurricane force winds within this area. There is still time for the track to change on this storm. We're looking at the tropical storm force winds to be arriving later on tonight, and then we'll see the hurricane force winds arrive tomorrow. We've already seen the showers and thunderstorms from it, and this is a radar picture from Louisiana, and there you can see isolated thunderstorms have been pushing through the region already today, and the surf is up also about 1 to 2 feet above normal tide, and we could see that raise to 3 to 4 feet by tomorrow. A huge storm. Take a look now that the temperatures are heating up this afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms have just exploded all across the eastern Gulf. Things are getting very active, and it's going to get worse from here. Well,
all right, Jackie, thank you very much. Our meteorologist, Jackie Jarris. The traffic, it's a huge problem in Houston right now in that whole area. People have been desperate to get out of town. They've been ordered to leave. Houston is the 4th largest city in the United States. The metropolitan area has 4 million people, and millions of them are trying desperately to simply get out of the Houston area. Traffic patterns have been awful, as we see. They're trying to get all of these lanes moving in one direction, but it's been slow in getting that started. Nick Nichols is one of those people trying to get out of Houston. He's joining us on the phone. You're on I-10, is that right, Nick?
That's correct.
How long have you been on the road?
We left this morning around 6 o'clock, and it's about 3 o'clock now. We've traveled approximately 20 miles in 9 hours with 2 sheepdogs and my wife.
And you have your valuables and your most important possessions that you managed to get into your car?
Absolutely, except my children. We're on our way to see our son who lives in Austin.
So you're trying to make it to Austin. So you've been in the car now for 9 hours. You've gone about 20 miles. What about the gasoline situation?
Well, we filled up. It took a while to get filled up last night. Had to wait in line for about 20, 30 minutes, and I've got 3/4 of a tank left now. I guess you don't use much when you're not going very fast, but we hope we have enough to get to Austin.
How frustrated are you? I don't know if I-10 has opened up all those lanes in one direction, but there's certainly a lot of the other highways in and around Houston are still, you see all these traffic patterns, all these cars going in one direction, and then the other lanes are virtually empty, the ones going into Houston.
Absolutely. It is a parking lot out here. We're driving by lanes that are vacant, free. Anybody could drive on them, but they're not open. So we have 3 packed lanes over here, and to the left, there are 3 lanes completely open that could be used, and they're not open for traffic right now.
Are you listening to the radio? Because we spoke to the police chief. He said they're trying to get it open, and they're working diligently, but clearly, at least from our perspective, seeing what's happening right now, they should have done this a while ago.
Well, the orders were to evacuate from Houston, and they say evacuate, then we're out here in the parking lot, and those things should have been taken care of.
We spoke to someone in the last hour, Nick, who was in a similar situation as you were, got out, started driving, managed to get about 20 miles. We're not even getting to any place, and then they simply went home because they thought it might be too dangerous to simply keep on driving and not know if you have a hotel room or you have gasoline.
We've considered that option about a total retreat and going back home, but we're down the road here, and they say it's worse to go back when the storm hits at a Category 4 or 5. So we'll get out here. It'll be a problem tomorrow if they don't straighten these roads out with people who'll be where we are, and they'll be caught in the storm.
What about your pets? You said you have 2 dogs in the car with you?
I have 2 Old English sheepdogs, Lucy and Daisy, and they're great dogs. They're very good temperament, but one's already been sick in the car, and but they're doing okay now.
Well, good luck, Nick. Good luck to you. We'll check back with you and see how you're doing. I suspect your story is very, very typical to the other people, millions of people who are simply trying to get out of Houston, and it's not easy by any means. Galveston is also a serious problem. Almost 60,000 people under normal circumstances live in Galveston. About 250,000 live in Galveston County. Our David Mattingly is there in Galveston right now. I take it it's like a ghost town, David?
That's what public officials are calling it. You don't see anybody on the road. You certainly don't see anybody down by the water where I'm standing right now. You look at all those people stuck in their cars. A lot of them may have left this island early because of all the early warnings that came out from public officials. They put the mandatory evacuation at 6 p.m. yesterday, and even by that time, the streets were almost empty. Today, public officials came out and again gave that estimate. They believe that 90%, 9 out of 10 people on this island have heeded the evacuation warnings and gone on to safety. One of the reasons might have been the recent experience with Hurricane Katrina and some of the dire predictions that were being put out by public officials here a couple of days ago. I want to show you why. This is a 17-foot seawall. This has been here for a century, protecting this city against hurricanes. With a Category 5, officials were warning people that with a worst-case scenario, they might see waves from that storm crashing over the top of this massive wall, some 15 feet high. That was enough to make anybody pay attention here and take advantage of getting out of here when they could. The city has also been providing buses for the first time ever, a lesson they learned with Katrina watching what happened in New Orleans. They identified people who would need rides, people who could not get out on their own. They made sure that city buses for the first time were available to take these people out. 3,200 people have taken them up on that offer, and that service may have been closed down by now. We haven't confirmed that. Some hours ago, they said they might have one more bus that they were willing to load up and send out. The concern is, because there's so much traffic on the mainland outside, they didn't want to load a bus up here and send it to sit in that traffic and perhaps get stuck in the hurricane. So right now, they're going to start slowly ratcheting things back. Public officials and all the safety officials are going to take their place in a hotel that's been built on an old bunker, military bunker here, and they're going to ride it out. And they've also made plans to bring National Guardsmen and search and rescue teams in here immediately after. So they're already, Wolf, thinking about the aftermath.
All right, David, we're going to check back with you. Thank you very much, David Mattingly is in Galveston for us. Let's bring in a hurricane expert right now. Marshall Shepard is a research meteorologist at the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. That's just outside the nation's capital. Marshall, thank you very much for joining us. You've got some new images of this hurricane. Show us what you're picking up.
Well, you know, we've been monitoring the sea surface temperatures using our Aqua satellite, which can actually measure the temperature of the ocean through clouds and in clear conditions. And you can see through the evolution of Rita that the waters are pretty warm. Those reds and orange represent warm water. But what we've been seeing is when the storm moves over those red patches, the storm really intensifies. I think we're seeing some weakening now because Rita is moving over some slightly, and I emphasize slightly cooler water. So I wouldn't be surprised to see fluctuations, even slight decreases from here to there, but we are still dealing with a major storm.
Is it possible this hurricane, which is now a Category 4, could go back up to a Category 5?
I think that's possible. It's too early to tell. Most of the trends in the models from our colleagues at NOAA suggest a weakening, but one of the things we know is that intensity change forecasts, Wolf, are very difficult. We've got some CAT scans. This is a CAT scan of Hurricane Rita from this morning from our Tropical Rainfall Measuring Mission satellite. This is new technology that we're flying, a space-based radar, and it helps us to look for very intense thunderstorms in the rainfall structure because we think those intense thunderstorms are clues of intensification processes.
What do you see for the people of southeast Louisiana, New Orleans specifically?
Well, anytime you're dealing with a major hurricane, inland freshwater flooding is always a concern, and this storm is a fairly large storm. So although we're talking about a landfall somewhere in the area of Texas near the Galveston Bay, because of the extent of this storm, we certainly could see some fairly significant rainfall near the landfall. We're talking 8 to 12 inches of rainfall, and as you move out into the Louisiana region, we still could be dealing with 3 to 6 inches of rain or maybe even more. So it certainly is of concern to an already stressed region.
Is it smart for all those people in Houston, there are 4 million people who live in the metropolitan area, to be getting out of Houston as quickly as possible, or are they authorities, they're overreacting?
No, I tend to always err on the side of the authorities. They're trained to understand and assess these situations. So as scientists here at NASA, and more importantly for our colleagues at NOAA, they are issuing very good forecasts. And I believe these officials are taking the right precautions. They've seen what's happened recently with Katrina, and in the past, last year with the 2004 storms in Florida. So I'm certain that they are operating with the interests of their citizens in mind.
You've spent your career studying these hurricanes. There are a lot of people out there who see a direct correlation between global warming and what we're seeing right now. Is that your assessment?
That is not my assessment, although I think there are some scientists coming out with some studies that we really need to look at. I think we have to pay attention to those, but generally I believe it's a bit too early to try to make the link between a couple of hurricane seasons and global warming. In fact, I mean, we know that there's an active cycle of natural activity in hurricanes, and we think we entered an active phase, Wolf, in 1995. Now, these multi-decadal active periods, they can last for 10, 20, or even 30 years. So it's certainly we have to be more diligent about separating out natural cycles in hurricane activity from any human-induced change, and that's where there will be a great deal of research over the coming decades.
Marshall Shepard, thanks very much. We'd love to check back with you. Thank you for your expertise.
Thank you, Wolf.
Let's immediately go to Houston. The mayor, Bill White, is speaking to reporters.
Good condition compared to a lot of the country if our refineries are able to start up operations quickly. That we are more blessed than a lot of areas of the country. But there's not going to be trucks that are out there doing the gasoline if there's 140-mile-an-hour winds, for example. But after the storm passes, then it'll be done as quickly as possible, and I think that you'll see that the industry can deliver a lot of fuel very quickly. And I hope to have some DOD lift capabilities by then, too.
Mayor, has there been any consideration given to asking people who don't have to evacuate, those who are not in the storm surge area, whose homes could probably weather a storm, asking them perhaps either not evacuate or to stay home and give those people who are in the storm surge area the first opportunity to leave, get on the highway, and also to have access to gasoline?
We're not forbidding evacuations, but you heard what the judge said, and maybe you'll respond to that. The judge said it pretty clearly in a polite way.
Sure, it was the same. It was exactly what we were saying. That if you're not in an evacuation zone, follow the events and watch the news. We have a little bit less critical of a situation right now than we had 4 or 5 hours ago. But the storm has oscillated back and forth. It could very easily come back into the Houston area. We just don't know where the storm is going to go until a little bit later. We'll address that at 7 o'clock. But right now, those people in the storm surge area need to still be prepared and be moving out. If you're not in a storm surge area, you may be in a little better position, and I would advise that you, again, take the precautions, be able to shelter in place, have your water, have your food. We have never called for an evacuation of Houston. We have never called for an evacuation of Harris County. We've asked people always to use common sense to go through and evaluate their situation in their home. Today, that situation is improving a little bit over where it was this morning. This afternoon, it could go back the other way, but there's no point if you're not in a flood zone area of immediately jumping out there and getting caught in this traffic while you got people trying to get out from the coastal flooding zones. We will take every effort to make sure that is not going to happen, that you won't be there when the storm hits, and that's what the mayor addressed. And I'll let him come back talking about the ability to go out and pull some of those folks off. The first part of your question was, did this catch us by surprise? This was not in the plan.
Yeah. And on this particular issue, this is our planning. Look, the reason that we have been evacuating early as a community and taking extra precautions is that if the hurricane comes in at a particular angle in a particular location, being on the highway is a death trap. And we need to make these evacuation plans and get people moving before the very dangerous winds hit. And we will, we will be making an announcement this evening concerning the plans. And I will say this to conclude this conference, that I'm asking all Houstonians that just as we responded in Katrina and we responded to our citizens in need, here, today, tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll be responding to those citizens who don't have fuel that are on some of the highways. Citizens will be an important part of that. I know we've seen instances already on IH-10, on 45, where citizens were helping other citizens. That's going to be part of the effort. That's going to be part of the team, and we'll make some announcement. And we will have another press conference here at 7 o'clock. Okay?
All right, the mayor, Bill White, the mayor of Houston, talking about his city, urging everyone, to get out. There's still time. It's not as easy, though, as it would seem. Houston, a huge city, fourth largest city in the United States of 4 million people in the metropolitan area. Also, other communities getting ready for Hurricane Rita. One was hit by Hurricane Katrina, and it's now threatened again by this second powerful storm. That would be Grand Isle, Louisiana. It is being called a ghost town right now. Our Ted Rowlands is there, and he's joining us via video phone. Ted, set the scene for us.
Well, Wolf, as you mentioned, it's mainly a ghost town. Evacuation started here at about 10 o'clock local time. Most people have left Grand Isle. This is going to be one of the communities that will be getting a 1-2 punch. It is in southern Louisiana, and it was pretty devastated after Katrina. Already you can see the winds of the next of Rita have already started to take effect here. The surf is up about 9 feet, and conditions are deteriorating. And they say that the high tide will be about midnight tonight. They want everybody out by then. They're going door to door, urging people to leave. A lot of these folks have spent the last 3 weeks cleaning up after Katrina. We talked to one man. He says he's just plain tired, and the thought of losing what he has left to another hurricane, as you can imagine, psychologically it is devastating for these people.
Well, how many people are there? Are any of the people who were devastated the first time around, they came back, they're trying to rebuild their lives, and now they're leaving again? That's what's going on, basically, right?
Exactly. They came back to find their homes beaten and severely damaged. They've spent the last 3 weeks doing what they can to clean up, mainly because there's debris scattered all over here, and now they're leaving, and this debris is going to be moving soon because the winds have picked up considerably, and they are expecting to get hit. It may not be hurricane force. They're not sure how badly the island's going to get hit. The main concern is water. The levees here, the natural levees, were beaten down by Katrina, and the fear is that what is left of this small community may be gone after Rita comes through.
Ted Rowlands, be careful over there. He's in Grand Island, Louisiana. Thank you very much. Remember, CNN is your hurricane headquarters, and we're constantly monitoring where Hurricane Rita is heading. Coming up, fresh forecasts of the storm and live reports from the areas that may be hit. Plus, no one could ever forget what New Orleans looked like after Hurricane Katrina. Could the city flood again when Rita strikes? You're in the Situation Room.
Keep watching CNN, your hurricane headquarters.
Excuse me, what is that?
ING. They're the financial services company that's all about fresh thinking. They're full of new ideas, so you're ready for whatever comes along.
I know about ING.
I want to have a cappuccino.
What's that?
Why can't we have a cappuccino?
Have to go to the car now.
You never have any fun. You never let me do anything fun.
It's a man struggling with his inner child.
You're so mean! A cappuccino, please.
Ask your financial professional about ING.
Audi Quattro.
Feel 25 years of Quattro all-wheel drive in the Audi A6. Take a test drive today.
Get live streaming video from Verizon Broadband, the world's most advanced network, and stay on top of your favorite sporting events. If you can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about!
CNN Tonight. Hurricane Rita rampages across the Gulf. New Orleans evacuates again. Coastal Texans too. Get the latest on the monster storm. Larry King, CNN Tonight, 9 East.
You can really see the difference at Willamette View, Portland's premier accredited senior retirement community. You'll love the lifestyle and views from its landscaped acreage on the Willamette River. A variety of activities, social, cultural, and wellness programs. The vitality of this senior community is unique and vibrant. like no other. Come see the difference for yourself. Come see why Willamette View got its name.
America's greatest strengths are the generosity and the compassion of the people.
Because of Hurricane Katrina, we come to you not as presidents, but as private citizens.
You know, right now, in the recovery, it's important for those who want to help to make cash donations.
And everyone can help, and every dollar will impact someone's life. So please visit usafreedomcorps.gov for more information.
The people along the Gulf Coast region will need the help of this country for a long time.
Bringing you the world for 25 years, this is CNN.
Hurricane Rita on a collision course toward the Texas-Louisiana coast with landfall expected early Saturday. Once again, a Category 4 storm. Rita's top winds right now 150 miles an hour. It's centered about 400 miles southeast of Galveston, one of the cities bracing for the possibility of a direct hit. Louisiana's governor says parts of her state are in danger from Rita right now. Kathleen Blanco is urging residents of coastal parishes in harm's way to heed the lessons of Hurricane Katrina and evacuate immediately.
I'm urging people to head north. You cannot go into Texas. Texas is preparing. The Hurricane I is still entering Texas, but on the east side of Texas. We are on the east side of the storm, just as Mississippi was. We can expect serious consequences from this hurricane.
Look for Rita to put a serious strain on New Orleans' weakened levees. The city is bracing for a possible storm surge and scrambling right now to avoid renewed flooding more than 3 weeks after Katrina. Once again, our Mary Snow is in New Orleans right now. She's joining us live. Where are you now, Mary?
Well, Wolf, we're on the 17th Street Canal. This is a bridge over that canal, and you're talking about people scrambling. We'll show you an example of it. These crews are literally racing to shore up the canal here. This is just about a quarter mile away from a failed levee. And what happened here is there is a wall being constructed here. It has been constructed that wasn't here during Katrina. Do you see these steel pilings? They're 60 feet in length. And what happened here is crews have embedded them along the canal, this in order to protect the levee. And as one engineer explained it, it is really a new barrier between Lake Pontchartrain and New Orleans. Now, earlier today, we took an aerial tour of the devastation and what was left of the flooding from Katrina. We went with General Bruce Berwick and toured the levees, canals, and the devastation, and you can clearly see that this is such a fragile area. And really, everybody is watching the weather forecast because any forecast for rain could threaten these weakened systems. Now, what is also happening is there is a forecast for what is going on here. The breach that was broken has been filled in with sandbags. And what the general is saying is that there are 3 conditions that he is looking at right now, and that is a 3-foot storm surge, 6 to 8 inches over 2 to 3 days, and these levees holding. He said if that happens, he is looking at what he says minor flooding, and he considers that between 2 and 4 feet. This in areas where the water can be quickly pumped out. He said if any of those conditions varies, that could have more significant flooding. So really, this is being assessed by the hour, and Rita's certainly keeping close tabs on. People are watching it very closely here. And we do want to point out these sandbags behind me. We've been seeing them for weeks now being placed here. They are 3,000 pounds each. These sandbags right now are being used to reinforce this new barrier because there was a bit of a leak, not a big leak. It was just shoring up this steel barrier that was actually ordered. These canals were ordered locked last night. Wolf?
All right, Mary Snow, we'll see you later in the program. Thanks very much. And I'm going to ask Mary later whether or not the wind is already picking up in New Orleans, because parts of that city are already having some rain from the spread of this storm, as we know. Let's once again check in with Jack Cafferty. He's in New York. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Wolf. One of the stories attendant to these big storms is the loss of jobs. In addition to losing their homes, all their worldly possessions to Katrina, a lot of Americans, tens of thousands of them, have lost their jobs. The government is reporting now that 214,000 Americans are out of work because of Hurricane Katrina. And some economists are saying it's going to get worse, that 500,000 people will ultimately have lost their jobs due to Katrina. Then there's Rita. If she comes ashore as advertised, packing 150-mile-an-hour winds, the job losses along the Texas Gulf Coast could be huge as well. There are people in Congress who are suggesting a modern-day Works Progress Administration, the so-called WPA projects created by Franklin Delano Roosevelt back during the Great Depression to provide jobs for Americans who couldn't get work any other way. Here's the question this hour: what should be done to re-employ the hurricane victims? Your thoughts, Cafferty File, one word, CNN.com. We'll take a look. This is going to be a huge problem, and it's going to be a big dent in the national economy over time, Wolf.
I suspect you're right. I know you're right, Jack. Thank you very much. Quickly, I want to go back to Mary Snow in New Orleans. Mary, I asked you about the weather. It looks pretty ominous, the skies above you.
It certainly is looking that way. Well, if we want to show you some of these clouds rolling in behind us, they are getting darker. And as you mentioned, the winds are picking up. And here in New Orleans, we are only expected to feel the outer bands of Rita, but we're already seeing the winds picking up throughout the day, and certainly the sky is getting darker.
Must be very scary there for all those people who are still there. Mary, thank you very much. Residents of Galveston, Texas are under orders to get out. Some officials and emergency workers, including some police officers and firefighters, are staying behind. The Galveston Police Chief, Kenneth Mack, is joining us on the phone right now. Chief, thanks very much for joining us. How many people do you estimate are still in Galveston?
Sir, I don't really have a way to estimate how many people are left. Our base population is about 59,000 people. I can tell you that a significant portion of people have evacuated, but there's no way to get a true estimate on how many may be left.
If people are staying, and I've heard various estimates that 75 to 90% of the residents of Galveston have left, but even if there are a few thousand, where would they try to stay to protect themselves given the nature of this hurricane?
So they would have to find shelter as best they can, because the city does not have any shelters that it has been able to offer as places of refuge, because we can't guarantee the safety of any particular structure.
If people are still there right now, is it too late to get out, or are you telling people right now you still have a few more hours, or at least how long do they have to get out?
Sir, actually everyone that wants to leave or decides to leave should have left by now. However, if they left within the next hour or so, they certainly can be out of the area prior to the expected landfall, but they might still be in some of the congested highways when we begin to feel tropical storm force winds tomorrow morning.
What about the very poor, those who don't have cars, or the elderly, or the sick? Have local authorities, state authorities made arrangements to get them out?
So the city of Galveston made a tremendous effort to address that very problem, and in fact yesterday evacuated, I believe, just a little in excess of about 3,000 people who took advantage of a program the city very quickly put together in connection with a lot of other entities, and we got people out of here by public transportation. That was city buses, school buses, and everything else that we had available to us.
Chief, where are you going to ride out the storm?
Myself and my officers will be in the San Luis Hotel, which is actually on the beachfront.
And that's that fortress that has withstood other storms in the past, is that right?
It's a major hotel that's built on top of an old former Army fortress.
Chief Kenneth Mack of the Galveston Police Department. Chief, good luck to you, all the men and women of the police force, everyone who's left behind in Galveston. Appreciate it. Rita, closing in, as we all know, right now on the Gulf Coast. When specifically will the hurricane make landfall? We're tracking this dangerous storm. We'll have an update. That's coming up. Plus, it appears President Bush will beat Rita to Texas. We'll explain what that means when we come back.
For over 75 years, we've been sacrificing Volvos in the name of safety.
In the chilly hours and minutes of uncertainty, I want to be in the warm hold of your love.
comes to style and design.
To feel you
We sacrifice nothing.
around me and to take your hand along the sand. But I may as well try and catch the wind.
Safety is a beautiful thing.
For me to love you now would be the sweetest thing.
Especially
It would make me sing.
when it's beautiful.
But I may as well try
The 2006 Volvos.
the wind.
Congress chartered Freddie Mac 35 years ago to make mortgage money available so lenders can make more home loans. Our mission? Help keep mortgage rates stable and low. It's working. Freddie Mac has helped over 44 million families own their own home. It's the most important investment millions of Americans ever make. Some people call it a nest egg. Most people just call it home. Freddie Mac. We make home possible.
You must be so excited.
Yeah. Actually, I've been wanting to talk to you about my life insurance.
I figured you'd want to make sure it's up to date. One thing I think you should look at.
There are times in life when you could really use expert financial advice. For more than 145 years, Northwestern Mutual and its products have quietly earned a most enviable reputation.
Might be your best option.
Yeah, that's a great
Isn't
point.
it time you had a quiet conversation of your own? Northwestern Mutual Financial Network. The Quiet Company.
Hurricane Rita churning closer and closer and closer to the Texas-Louisiana coast. Once again, a Category 4 storm, still a beast with winds up to 150 miles an hour. More than 1 million people are fleeing the storm, probably 2 million right now, in what's being called the largest evacuation in Texas history. In New Orleans, there's a lot of tension right now. Take a look at these pictures. Live pictures coming in. The skies over New Orleans. Check out the clouds right now, and this is only just beginning. Ominous, very threatening clouds as this Hurricane Rita moves across the Gulf of Mexico. With his home state of Texas in Rita's line of fire, President Bush is planning to return there tomorrow to visit with first responders and to review preparations for the hurricane. While talking about the war on terror here in Washington earlier today, the president took some time out to warn about the coming storm.
This morning I met with Secretary Chertoff about Rita. I talked to Governor Perry again. I talked to him last night. I talked to him this morning. This is a big storm. And it's really important for our citizens there on the Texas coast to follow the instructions of the local authorities. Officials at every level of government are preparing for the worst.
The president says the federal government has positioned troops and resources in the Southwest to try to ensure a quick and effective response to Hurricane Rita after acknowledging missteps after Hurricane Katrina. Our Zane Vergie is joining us now from the CNN Center in Atlanta with a quick look at some other stories making news. Zane?
Wolf Judge John Roberts is now just one step away from becoming the nation's next Chief Justice. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted 13-5 in favor of his confirmation this afternoon. All 10 Republicans and 3 of the 8 Democrats voted in favor of Roberts. The full Senate's expected to vote on the nomination next week. Investigators are hoping that the data recorders from this JetBlue plane will help explain what went wrong. The Airbus jet made a spectacular emergency landing in Los Angeles yesterday with its front wheels turned sideways. The dramatic incident was shown live on national TV with many passengers watching on board the plane's satellite TV. There was a lot of anxiety, but fortunately no one was hurt. A suspect in the botched London bombings of July 21st is back in Britain. Hamdi Isaac was extradited from Italy, where police believe he fled via Paris on the 26th of July. He's scheduled to appear in court tomorrow. The failed attack came 2 weeks after a series of bombs killed 52 people in London on the transport system there. Wolf?
Thanks very much, Zane. We'll get back to you, Zane Verjee at the CNN Center. We have all of our eyes right now on Hurricane Rita. So does Max Mayfield. He's the director of the National Hurricane Center. Why was he testifying, though, to the U.S. Congress today? That story, that's coming up next. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
When I look back on everything, I see 100 years of moments, 100 years of our incredible history. I was there when the first keg was tapped. I've seen the growth and optimism of a young country and all the great minds that give us reason to celebrate. I've been there for the glory, and I've been there for when it hurts most. I was there the day she said yes, and all the yeses after. These are the moments that matter, the ones we savor with the champagne of beers. Because that's when you shine. And when you shine, I shine. We go hand in hand, you and I. I'm the girl on the moon, and I want to tell you everything I know. Everything there is to savor. Everything.
Go to Priceline now for the best deals on hotels. Name your own price for 3- and 4-star hotels and save up to $100 a night off other leading travel sites every night you stay. Brilliant. Only at the new Priceline.
Vanilla first left Mexico in the early 1500s on ships headed for Spain. However, it wasn't until 1519 that the Spaniards learned vanilla was more than just a perfume. Mexico continued their vanilla.
If the history of vanilla doesn't put you to sleep, maybe this will. New Tylenol PM and Soothing Vanilla Liquid relieves pain, isn't habit-forming, and leaves you refreshed in the morning.
Every day, America's highly trained and skilled air traffic controllers guide thousands of planes safely. But now, FAA staffing cutbacks mean fewer air traffic controllers are handling more and more planes. Today, there are 1,000 fewer controllers than there were just 2 years ago. And that's a dangerous act. Call Congress at 1-877-FLY-US-SAFE. Tell them that when the FAA juggles staffing, it compromises safety.
There's an even better way to care for your nest egg. Objective financial advice. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
Dell has great deals on PCs waiting for you now. Get this Dimension desktop with an Intel Pentium 4 processor for the amazing price of $499. And enhance your PC with the McAfee Security Center for just $79. With the power of an Intel processor and the security of McAfee, it's all you need to keep your PC running smoothly. Notebooks start as low as $549. Get more out of now. Dell PCs use Intel Pentium 4 processors.
While the Rita threat has been unfolding in the Gulf of Mexico, there was a dust-up over hurricane recovery that played out earlier today here in Washington. Let's immediately go to Capitol Hill. Our congressional correspondent Ed Henry standing by. What happened, Ed?
Wolf, Republicans have vowed that they do not want this investigation about Katrina to distract key officials from doing their jobs. But they called as their first witness today Max Mayfield, a pretty busy guy with Hurricane Rita bearing down.
Beamed into a committee room via satellite, Max Mayfield struggled to answer questions about Katrina as he was handed urgent updates on Rita.
Well, I'm getting a wealth of information here. Okay, I'm sorry here. I'm getting a little distracted here, but
the Hurricane Maven kept getting interrupted.
I honestly can't remember anything that...
More fodder for Democrats who are boycotting the Republican-led Katrina investigation.
Having a hearing on them at a time when people are heading for the hills, literally, to me doesn't seem like a good use of Congress's time.
We have a number of... The Republican chairman said Mayfield was given the chance to reschedule, but wanted to address both hurricanes.
we worked this with him. We told him if this was a distraction, that we wouldn't call him at all. Obviously, we didn't make him fly up here or do that. These are important questions, and this was he did this on his own volition.
But Mayfield's TV testimony, juggling two storms, added to an already surreal scene, with mostly no-shows on the Democratic side. 2 Democrats from the Gulf region did attend, but even they want the probe taken over by an independent commission.
One which takes this process out of the hands of politicians and let the experts and those who have directly felt Katrina's impact drive the investigation.
Democrats fear the Republican-led investigation will shift blame from President Bush to local officials.
Who in Louisiana is authorized to order an evacuation?
It's my understanding that it's the local officials.
Now, Chairman Tom Davis told me today that he will be asking tough questions as well of federal officials, including ousted FEMA Director Michael Brown, who will be the star witness next Tuesday. In fact, CNN has learned that even though Brown recently resigned, he is still technically on the federal payroll. Officials insist, though, that he's not making any decisions. This is just for transitional reasons, but you can bet next week he'll be in the hot seat, Wolf.
All right, we'll stand by and watch that with you, Ed. Thank you very much, Ed Henry, our man on Capitol Hill. It's a massive storm, and it's spinning toward the Gulf Coast. But just where will Hurricane Rita make landfall? Our forecast, an updated forecast, that's coming up. Plus, massive traffic as people are trying to leave Houston in huge numbers. We'll talk to the city's mayor. He's standing by. You're in the Situation Room.
Do you, Morgan Ambrose Robert, take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife?
Of course, that very much depends on what you mean by the question, do you? Forward-looking statements involve risk and uncertainties. We're opening up a can of worms here. No single answer readily presents itself. I mean, have we really explored every avenue? Have the parties made certain representations, warranties, and agreements in connection with the merger? Do the parties agree to be subject to the satisfaction of the regulatory approvals as required to consummate the transaction? Who amongst us will ever know?
I do. I pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Less talk. Make it happen. The Royal Bank of Scotland Group.
How many days is 3 weeks?
21.
Won't you miss your room?
A little bit.
Won't you miss Rocky?
You know what I'm gonna miss the most?
What?
This face.
Mr. Buckley, welcome to Residence Inn.
Residence Inn. All suites with all the comforts.
What cooks like butter, spreads like butter, and has a fresh dairy taste like butter without the cholesterol and high saturated fat? Smart Balance Buttery Spread. Smart Balance just received another Best Taste Award and is endorsed by professional chefs. It's the only spread with a patented balance of fats to help increase HDL good cholesterol and avoids trans fat naturally, not artificially as some spreads do. Smart Balance. You're going to love that buttery taste.
The governor of Texas is urging evacuees from the Houston area to stay calm, stay patient as they navigate jammed highways and try to get out of the city. Let's get the latest now from the mayor of Houston. He's joining us on the phone, Bill White. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. It looks very chaotic, this struggle to get out of Houston right now, especially those highways that are jammed in one direction. What's going on?
Well, it's not chaos, but there's a lot of people trying to evacuate. And we've taken extraordinary measures, including shutting down the flow of traffic in the inbound lanes. So we're monitoring by helicopter, and as we're doing that, which is what we had requested very early in the morning by the state officials, it's getting done, and the traffic is flowing.
I spoke, Mr. Mayor, excuse me for interrupting, but I spoke a few moments ago with one individual. He's been stuck for about 15 hours, has gone maybe 20 miles out of Houston, and he sees the lanes next to him virtually empty. Why not make all those lanes one way so people can get out of Houston?
That's what I said. That's what we requested about 15 hours ago by the State Department of Transportation, and now they have implemented that. And the two major thoroughfares, it was implemented 2 hours ago on one major thoroughfare, an hour ago on the other. It was unacceptably late, but that's exactly what we're doing here.
Why did it take so long?
There's a lot of people evacuated in response that did voluntary evacuations, as well as the millions in the over a million in the mandatory evacuation area. So Houston did note and evacuate early for this Katrina. But the state system in place should be in place, and it should be better for opening up all lanes of traffic outbound. It had never been done before because there's never been an evacuation of this size.
Was there a plan in the works, though? Had you planned for this kind of evacuation? Almost 2 million people trying to get on the roads, trying to get to airports, the bus stations, and simply get out of town?
Sure. On the local end, the communications network and the number of people we've had started with the nursing homes, over 72 hours ago. But what we didn't plan is some of the fuel catches, places where fuel was supposed to be stored along the highway, were not in place outside of the Houston area and in points north. And with that, stalled up traffic all the way coming back. We also there are a number of voluntary evacuations that occur. People saw Katrina and they were leaving that weren't in the mandatory areas, and that caused more traffic than anybody had planned.
We're looking at a live picture now, Mr. Mayor, of a gas station in the Houston area. Huge backups, no gas apparently, at least not enough gas. What's the situation as far as gas is concerned? Because tempers are really raw at some of these gas stations. Simply can't get out of town, a lot of these people.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't blame people. If they're in the mandatory evacuation areas, then we do have bus services and numbers where people can call to be picked up. But the fact is that if everybody in the area evacuated and topped off their tank, then it's a logistic of getting fuel trucks back into those filling stations.
What about the poor people and the elderly, the infirm, those who don't have cars? What have you done to help them?
3 days ago, we started publicizing the fact that they could dial 311 into our system. We queued those calls, and we are sending buses and Metrolift out, and we're clearing the backlog of people that are in that category, and those who needed assisted living. We've had over 10,000 leave. We're putting some on planes. So it's those people in nursing homes, elderly, people without transportation that we give a top priority to in our system.
Mr. Mayor, good luck to you. We'll check back with you. You have an enormous job on your hands. Bill White is the mayor of Houston. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. We're about to get an update on Hurricane Rita from the National Hurricane Center. There's a new track that's about to be released. We'll tell you where this hurricane is moving right after this short break.
Two double best picks, a first for any car maker ever. Two models with the highest crash test rating from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, the Audi A4 and the Audi A6. Test drive not one, but two of the safest cars in the world. Visit your Audi dealer today.
CNN Tonight. Hurricane Rita rampages across the Gulf. New Orleans evacuates again. Coastal Texans too. Get the latest on the monster storm. Larry King, CNN Tonight, 9 East.
Search through hundreds of thousands of used cars across the U.S. or within a few miles. Online at bx.com. Just click Auto on Comcast.net.
There's no better store for the expectant or new mother than Tuality Medical Equipment and Supply. And there's no better time to visit than now, during our annual maternity sale. You'll find tremendous savings on breast pumps, nursing bras, diapers, nursing pillows, and many other items. Don't miss it. The annual maternity sale. It's going on now at Tuality Medical Equipment and Supply. Products that make life easier. In the Tuality 7th Avenue Medical Plaza in Hillsborough.
Shopping for a new home? Did you know that in the time it takes you to drive to just one house, you could visit 100 without leaving your home? Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties introduces a better way to shop. Find your new home on TV or online, anytime. Hundreds and hundreds of dream homes are now just a click away. On Channel 15 or at cbseal.com. Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties. Discover the joy of home shopping from home.
If you're an employer dealing with a high cost of employee turnover and want to cut associated costs, I recommend that you look at the root causes of turnover. Many employees leave jobs they're good at because they feel their efforts aren't recognized. They lack support and direction, or their input isn't appreciated. Satisfying these needs requires no capital investment. Replacing a fully trained and productive employee does. I'm David Batstone.
The weather is the news. Trust CNN. It's essential.
Jackie Jarris is standing by with new information from the National Hurricane Center. Jackie, what are we learning?
Well, Wolf, the most important thing right now is that the Tropical Storm Watch, which was in fact that included the New Orleans and Lake Pontchartrain areas, has now been upgraded to a tropical storm warning. So that means tropical storm force conditions are expected in the New Orleans area in 24 hours or less. So that has been the big change. The wind speeds have dropped down a little bit further. They're down to about 145 miles per hour, but that still keeps it in the Category 4 strength range, and that is still a very healthy Category 4. Here's a look at the radar picture right now, and it's showing showers and thunderstorms all across southeastern parts of Louisiana, and the wind speeds are beginning to increase. There you can see Grand Isle already at 31 miles per hour, 17 at Metairie, and then we've got 15 miles per hour at White Castle, and winds need to be 39 miles per hour or greater to be considered tropical storm strength, and that will be arriving, we think, overnight tonight. Wolf?
All right, Jackie, we'll see you right at the top of the hour with a full report. Jackie Jarris with the latest information. We'll take another quick break. Jack Cafferty standing by right after this.
Closed captioning hours on CNN, sponsored in part by LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win.
When you refinance at LendingTree.com, you can save up to $200 a month with a lower rate. Just think what you can do with the money. When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com.
To help your business succeed, at UBS, we give you all the resources you'd expect of one of the world's most highly awarded global investment banks. But to understand what your business really needs, we bring something more to the table. We work with you, like it's the world's most powerful two-person financial firm. You and us, UBS.
It's time people who get loans are treated fairly. That's why eLoan has no lender fees. Check out our current monthly refinancing options. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan, radically simple.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
All right, we've just been informed a tropical storm warning for New Orleans. The mayor, Ray Nagin, speaking right now.
Still searching and encouraging individuals to evacuate, but it looks as though we have most of the people out of the city on the East Bank, with the exception of some business workers that may be out and about, and there may be a few people that are held up throughout the city. We got some good news this morning from the standpoint of The 82nd is still going to be with us in force as we start the reentry after Rita has moved out of the way. That will be reinforced as about 3,000 soldiers that will be a part of our security force, along with about 2,000 National Guards that will be with us. You link that up with about the 1,400 NOPD officers that are still in place with some other law enforcement agencies, and we should be in pretty good shape from a law enforcement standpoint as we move forward. And then finally, I will say to our neighbors in other parts of Louisiana, to the Texas neighbors that may be impacted by this storm, our hearts go out to you, our prayers go out to you. We wish that this storm decides to turn at the last minute and avoid you, but if it doesn't, we are here to provide whatever little support we can to hopefully get you through this incredible process. Hurricane Rita, I will say once again, is a very dangerous storm. It's still trending in a good direction as it relates to New Orleans, but we are not letting our guards down because, as you know, these hurricanes can change and do a lot of things. It's currently a Category 4 storm, as I understand it. It may have the possibility to get stronger, and then it looks as though it may hit some cooler waters as it hits landfall that may cause it to diminish in strength a little bit. But we are still paying attention to it. Every time I look at the weather reports and see the direction of the storm, it looks like it's pointed toward New Orleans, but maybe I'm a little paranoid right now. So we will continue to monitor it, and we will have a report from the National Guard as we speak.
I'm General Ron Mason. I'm the commander of the 35th Infantry Division out of Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. What I represent is the commander of what we call Task Force Santa Fe that was originally deployed here in southeastern Louisiana to cover the 13 most affected parishes here. And what I'd like to do is just give you an update of where our forces are and what we've been doing over the past few days and what we're doing right now. We have several task forces that are arrayed here in southern Louisiana and in and around New Orleans. One that's not shown on here I'll talk a little bit about. That's our Tactical Reserve. And they are a brigade of about 2,000 soldiers. They are right now deployed in Alexandria, north and west of here, and in Lafayette.
All right, we're going to monitor this news conference in New Orleans. Get back there as necessary. It's 5 p.m. Just after here in Washington. You're in the Situation Room, where news and information arrive in one place simultaneously. We've just learned that New Orleans, yes, New Orleans, under a tropical storm warning right now, also happening now, just after 4 p.m. Central in Houston, where a massive, difficult, and very frustrating exodus is underway ahead of Hurricane Rita. The storm churning west in the Gulf of Mexico, taking aim at the Texas, Louisiana coast. The National Hurricane Center just released a new forecast. The director, Max Mayfield, standing by. He will join us live. And in New Orleans, where Rita's rains are already starting to move in, an ominous sign for the city still in the grips of disaster. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. Hurricane Rita, as of this hour, a powerful Category 4 storm. Right now, Texas, the apparent target. We've just learned that New Orleans is under a tropical storm warning. And we've also just learned a major airlift operation is underway in Beaumont, Texas, where officials are trying to get the sick and elderly out right now. They're among the more than 1.5 million people being urged to and ordered to evacuate, but that's easier said than done. Some highways are in total gridlock even now. The situation very much the same at Houston's airports. Thousands of people are trying to get on flights to get out of town. And making matters worse, about 100 security screeners didn't show up for work, and TSA officials are scrambling to replace them. Clearly, in the wake of Katrina, no one wants to take any chances. In Texas, as we've been showing you, some 1.5 million people are under evacuation orders. That's the largest evacuation in that state's history. The governor, Rick Perry, says he's asked President Bush for 10,000 National Guard troops to help with search and rescue after this storm. That's on top of the 5,000 troops already activated. Next door in Louisiana, still reeling from Hurricane Katrina. The governor, Kathleen Blanco, is asking for 15,000 National Guard troops on top of the 25,000 already on Katrina duty. She also says 800 buses have been mobilized to help with more evacuations. And the impact: more than 100 energy-related businesses along the Gulf Coast have already shut down, including some of the nation's largest oil refineries. Some analysts are warning we could see the price of gasoline hit $5 a gallon in Rita's wake. New Orleans is under a tropical storm warning. Forecasters say Rita could dump 3 inches of rain there. The Army Corps of Engineers says that may be too much for the battered levee system and could flood parts of the city once again. Let's immediately head to our Mary Snow. She's in New Orleans. She's just got a closer look at those levees. What's the latest, Mary?
Well, Wolf, as we showed you earlier, it is raining here now in New Orleans, bands of rain coming in and out. But we have a guest with us now, Colonel Dwayne Gabinski of the Army Corps of Engineers. Colonel, you told us earlier today, we asked you about your concern level on a scale of 1 to 10. You put it at a 5 to 6. How would you rate it now that New Orleans is now under a tropical storm warning?
Well, it's still about the same. You know, we're still concerned with storm surge from the lake, and we're protecting with it against it using those sheet pile walls. We're concerned about rain, but again, the pump stations are working, albeit at reduced capacity. And then we have equipment stockpiled to account for any kind of contingency.
With the weather worsening, though, and now this tropical storm warning, what kind of a storm surge are you expecting, and what can the city of New Orleans handle?
Well, we're expecting about a 4 or 5 foot storm surge. And of course, you can see the wall behind me can handle up to probably 10 or 12 foot storm surge. There are areas where it's going to be a little bit closer, and we can probably only handle about a 6 foot storm surge. So we're watching those areas closely.
And how about rainfall? How much rainfall can New Orleans handle?
Well, right now the prediction is, you know, 1/4 inch today, 1.5 inches tomorrow, next couple days, spread out over the day. So we can handle that, we think. If we get a deluge, say 3 inches in 6 hours, then we'd have some flooding, maybe up to 2 feet.
Quickly, do you keep it at a concern level of 5 to 6 still, or is it going up?
It's 5 or 6 still.
All right, thank you, Colonel.
You're welcome.
And Wolf, we're going to throw it back to you.
All right, Mary, thank you very much. Mary Snow is on the scene for us. Let's head over to Houston right now. Our affiliate reporter, Kim Alvarado Booth from KPRC, is at a gas station where I take it, Kim, the situation is not pretty.
It is not. We've seen a lot of angry words. We've seen pushing. We've seen shoving. We've seen people literally pulling the nozzles out of each other's hand, fighting over this gas. What you're seeing right here is the gentleman filled up with the plastic container. What they're doing, though, is because this place will not take cash anymore, they're negotiating with folks who do have credit cards. Well, that's what's starting a lot of fights. The police just showed up a few minutes ago. A lot of these folks are people from lower incomes here in Southwest Houston. They're not ones evacuating. They just heard the call to fill their tanks with gas, and that's what's causing all this backup. Come over here, let me show you something. The owners, a little fearful of the situation, the atmosphere here in Southwest Houston, so they closed the store inside this Citco because they're afraid of what might be going on. They don't want to hear it from people because they will not take cash. Once again, these are what folks are doing. They're filling up once in the tank and then the plastic containers, and they negotiate the sale of that plastic container gas. Dan Speck has been in line. How long have you been in line, Dan?
Dale. Yeah, I've been in line probably since about 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah,
what
so
time
it's
is it
about
now
3
here
hours.
in Great Texas?
It's a little after 4. So
What
I've
have you
been in line
seen here?
about 3 hours. Mass confusion. Part of the problem is you got cars coming from both directions, so when they fill up, they can't get back out. And people who need to pay cash for it are having to go inside, so you wait. And the pumps are slow. I'm surprised there haven't been more fights than there have. There've been a little bit of words, but nobody's really got
We've seen a lot of pushing and shoving and grabbing right from the hands of others. Dale, were you here when someone ran out of gas and they literally, 7 men picked up a
No,
car?
that was just before me.
Right before
yeah,
you came
yeah.
here?
They lifted it up and got it here.
Okay, why are people so desperate to get gas? They're not even the ones evacuating.
I think in my case, I'm trying to fill up because I want to leave as soon as the hurricane's over. My wife is in LaGrange and I'm staying in Houston, and as soon as it passes through and everything's okay here, I want to go up there, and I'm afraid we won't have any gas till 3 or 4 days later.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dale. Good luck to you.
Yeah,
okay?
thank you
Dale,
very
a Houstonian. What we're seeing right now is an ambulance pulling up. We suspect this was a part of the police that were called just a few minutes ago. Citizens are in their cars. If you look down the line here, some are overheated. Some are getting sick. So we don't know exactly the nature of this call, but this is one of our very large ambulance units here in Greater Houston. So that's the situation, Wolf. Any questions?
Yeah, quick question, Kim. I suspect they're going to run out of gas pretty soon. Have they pumped up the price of a gallon of gasoline where you are, or has it been steady?
No, it's been pretty steady. We have not seen situations like that. There's been stern warnings from our Attorney General to report any sort of nonsense like that. Although I have seen situations in these convenience stores, for an example, a case of bottled water, $30. So that's ridiculous.
That is
but we're
ridiculous.
not seeing any sort of price gouging. As far as the gas stations are concerned, like I said, no telling what's going on at the street level, negotiations with the canisters.
All right, Kim, be careful over there. Kim Alvarado Booth doing an excellent job for her station, KPRC, our affiliate. Thanks very much, Kim. We'll check back with you in Houston. Hurricane Rita is already causing a fuel crisis in Houston, as we just saw. That could spread after the storm. Ali Velchi has got the bottom line. It looks like a real mess over there, Ellie, and it's probably going to get a lot worse.
Kind of ironic that all the, mostly a quarter of the oil in the country comes from the region and they're out of gas. But let's just let's understand how this works. A gas station only has as much gas as a gas station can hold in its reservoir. So when you see lining up and those gas stations, we've called 120 of them, 82 of them we can't get a response from, 31 are shut down, 7 still had gas but are quickly running out of gas. It's because the gas in that reservoir is out. So they've got to get gas tanks to come back, the tankers to fill those reservoirs. That's where we're seeing the problem. This is not, for everybody else in the country watching, this is not a gas shortage. This is a distribution issue for the moment. Not to say that Rita isn't going to have an impact on gas supplies across the country. I just got off the phone with the Explorer pipeline. That's a pipeline I showed you earlier. It goes from the south through to Chicago, through the Midwest. It is responsible for some 600,000 barrels a day of gas, jet fuel, diesel, things like that. Well, that's stopped. That's 10% of the gasoline that goes to the Midwest. So people are going to be seeing this kind of thing across the country in certain areas, but we are, what we just heard is correct. We are also not reporting any information about price gouging in the Houston area. So at the moment, if you can get gas, not a bad idea. For the rest of you around the country, don't worry just yet. We're not seeing any problems in terms of supply or price.
All right, Ellie, thanks very much. We'll continue to monitor all of that. Let's get straight to CNN's Jackie Jarris. She's in the Weather Center, the CNN Hurricane Center, our meteorologist with the latest specific official information from the National Hurricane Center.
Yeah, Wolf, 405 miles now southeast of Galveston. The winds have dropped a little farther this afternoon. It's down to 145 miles per hour, but that's still well in the Category 4 strength, and we don't anticipate it's going to go down to a 3 anytime soon, though that could happen before it makes landfall. And by the way, we saw that reporter live in Houston, these people dealing with this unbelievable heat. Houston has now had a record high of at least 97 degrees on the thermometer, and the heat index is about 103. So this heat is very dangerous, and it is getting people sick. So you have to use a lot of caution. And this is why we tell you to have your emergency kit with you way ahead of time. Don't wait until the storm comes. If you live in a hurricane-prone area right now and you're not going to be affected by Rita, you need to make sure you've got 3 days at least of the water and the food. This is why we tell you this, so you don't run out. This is a very serious situation with Rita now, a very powerful storm. It's been taking more of a northwesterly turn today, moving at about 9 miles per hour. If it stays on this track that we expect it to, landfall will likely happen early on Saturday morning. Our forecast track doesn't look like it's changed very much here, as it has just come in, possibly just a smidge, hardly worth mentioning, off to the east or to the right of the storm, and it is bringing it in very close to the Louisiana-Texas state line. But still, Galveston, it's still possible that you could get a direct hit with the eye or eye wall of this storm. And keep in mind, look at the cone of uncertainty. It still goes a fair amount out from that center of that cone. We're looking at some changes in intensity over the next couple of days, but those strong winds are going to be moving into Louisiana, we think, tonight, and that's why the tropical storm warning has been issued now. That includes New Orleans and Lake Pontchartrain. And check out the green there. They've also just issued a flood watch for the potential over the next 48 hours or so for 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. Wolf?
All right, Jackie. Thank you very much. Jackie Jarris with all the latest information for us from the CNN Weather Center. Still ahead, more live reports, storm updates. Remember, CNN is your hurricane headquarters. In this horrific hurricane season, experts have all sorts of new and high-tech ways to track storms like Rita. Coming up, we'll give you an inside look at how it's done. Up next, first Katrina, now Rita. How can the federal government possibly pay for all this damage? And more coming. I'll ask a very influential, a high-profile senator, Republican, John McCain. He's standing by. You're in the Situation Room.
Hey, toilet here. Please stop the running. Not just the old handle jiggle. It's the oldest trick in the book.
Don't tighten the screw up too tight or you'll crack the porcelain.
Okay. Thanks, Tim. And don't forget to fix that chair.
Ace, the helpful place. When you book a room on Ramada.com, you'll get our best rate in seconds. Of course, you could search the web endlessly for a lower rate, but just think of all you'd be missing out on. Ramada.com. It's as easy as...
Welcome. The rules in Finlandistan, Albaniastan are quite unique. I hope you had a chance to review them.
It's tennis. How different can it be?
It's not easy being out of your element, especially when it comes to insurance and investing. Genworth Financial and your financial professional can help you understand your choices and then make the right ones, so you'll be ready for whatever the future throws your way.
Send in the llamas!
After Katrina, is America ready for the next disaster? CNN Sunday night, we travel across the country and find out, is America prepared? CNN Sunday night 80s.
Search through hundreds of thousands of used cars across the U.S. or within a few miles. Online at bx.com. Just click auto on comcast.net.
Freezer's on the fritz, boss. All the ice is melting.
Hey, boss! 10 tons of tuna got caught up in customs.
Boss, we got cats.
Small business owners have enough challenges. High-speed internet shouldn't be one of them. As a broadband leader, Comcast delivers speeds up to 7 megs with advanced security features and 24/7 support. It's one thing you can count on.
IRS line 1.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
The U.S. tab for Hurricane Katrina relief already large, and it's about to get very, very even larger. How should the government pay for all of this? Here to discuss that and more, Republican Senator John McCain of Arizona. Senator, thanks very much for joining us. $200 million already spent in Iraq, let's say, maybe a lot more. $200 billion about to be spent. That's projected for Katrina. And you see this monster storm, Rita. There's going to be a lot of expenditure. Where's all this money going to come from?
That's hard to say, Wolf, but I think it's time we did some belt tightening and some sacrificing, eliminate pork barrel spending, perhaps delay the Medicare prescription drug bill, except for those of lowest income, look at across-the-board cuts for, say, 5%, except for defense or homeland security funding, with a 1% slush fund, sort of, for the president to give money to more needed areas. We're going to have to make some sacrifices. Americans are sacrificing right now by contributing so generously to the victims of Hurricane Katrina, and here in Washington we've got to do some too. Otherwise we're going to lay this huge deficit on future generations of Americans.
Do you see any willingness on the part of the administration or the Republican leadership in Congress to do any of those steps that you just proposed?
Well, the President said we'll have to have some spending reductions, and I understand that the White House has also said that they would look at some areas. Frankly, I think the first place we could go is this pork barrel-laden highway bill that had $26 billion with just unmitigated pork. The American people want their tax dollars to go to the victims of Hurricane Katrina and now Rita, or do they want it to go to a bridge to nowhere for $250 million or whatever it is?
Tom DeLay, the Republican leader, the majority leader in the House, he said after 11 years of Republican majority, we've pared it down pretty good. He suggests that there isn't a whole lot of pork there.
I respectfully disagree. We have presided over the largest increase in government and government spending since the Great Society, and there are many of my conservative base, long before this, that are very unhappy about the spending practices. And as you know, the deficit was already going to be about $300 and some billion, the third highest in history, and there were projections with this Medicare prescription drug bill that it was going to go higher. Example. The Medicare prescription drug bill was originally estimated when it was passed to be $400 billion over 10 years. It's now grown to $730 billion estimate, and we haven't given out a single pill.
And you know the President says he doesn't want to touch that, though.
Well, I think everything should be on the table. I think that our first obligation now is to care for these victims, but care for them carefully. We need, I think, an administrator along the lines of Jack Welch or Lou Gerstner or Colin Powell, somebody to coordinate all these activities, and we need inspectors generals, and we need all kinds of restrictions. They're giving out cost-plus contracts as we speak. I'm afraid that a couple, 3 years from now, we'll be investigating all the scandals associated with overspending.
You know, one man's pork is another man's essential expenditures. There's what some would consider pork in the transportation bill for Arizona. I'll give you 3 examples. $3 million for a pedestrian and bicycle overpass in Phoenix, $3 million for a pedestrian bridge over a lake in Tempe, a Grand Canyon Greenway Trail, $1.5 million. Are you willing to forego what some would call pork in your state in exchange if everyone got rid of it?
Absolutely. In a New York minute.
All right. There's another poll, though, I want to show you. Our CNN USA Today poll. We asked a few days ago the best way to pay for hurricane relief. 54% of those respondents said cut spending in Iraq. What do you say about that?
Well, I say I understand it because people have as understandably their first priority to take care of Americans in a disaster situation. I don't think it's correct. We've got to win in Iraq. We've got to make a case, as the President did in a very excellent speech today, in my view, that we've got to win in Iraq as well. And we are making progress, but it's long and it's hard and it's tough. But the consequences of failure are profound and the benefits of success are incredible.
If you want everything to be on the table, I suppose you'd be willing to roll back some of those tax cuts that were approved over the past few years.
Well, if I think that would be the easy way out, just say raise taxes. I don't think that. I'm not saying it should never be considered, but certainly now our focus should be on cutting spending, excess and unnecessary spending and waste, and make a few sacrifices before we lay another tax burden on the American people.
A quick question on the President and this investigation. He doesn't want to see a 9/11 kind of independent investigation. Do you think that's what's needed to get to the bottom of what went wrong?
I think that Senator Susan Collins and Joe Lieberman, who have the responsibility, they are the Committee on Homeland Security, are off to a good start. I'd like to see the progress they make before we went for an independent commission. I also wish that we'd stop fighting with each other and have a more bipartisan approach to this. I think Americans would like to see us work together on this one.
One final quick question. Word on the street, you're going to meet with Cindy Sheehan, the protester, next week? Well,
a group of Arizonans are coming to Washington. Whether we happen to agree with them or not, we are required to meet, or we should meet with our constituents. She's with this group. John Kyle is also meeting with them as well, since most of them are Arizonans. I disagree with Ms. Sheehan strongly on not only her remarks about Iraq, but also Israel and getting troops out of New Orleans, and I strongly disagree. And I will express that. I do honor the service and sacrifice of her son, and as you know, the president met with her once. I doubt if I'll meet with her twice.
Senator McCain, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Will.
John McCain, the senator from Arizona. When we come back, storms as intense as Hurricanes Katrina and Rita require sophisticated methods to track. Coming up, we're going to tell you about a high-tech tool and strategies that are being used to track such devastating storms. And as we've told you, New Orleans now under a tropical storm warning. How the city and the surrounding area are bracing themselves for whatever happens. Our Jeff Quinangi will be live in Jefferson Parish. Stay with us.
Squid Labs is not your typical office, and Saul Griffith is not your typical office mate.
I loved building things. I think the legend in my family is that no Christmas present lasted past lunchtime before I'd taken it apart and built something new with it.
Now Griffith invents for a living, everything from ropes with electronic sensors that can tell when they might break to low-cost eyeglass lenses that can be produced in a matter of minutes. His latest venture, called How Toons, is a website that uses cartoon characters to turn kids into inventors. Oh my God! On the site, kids learn how to make marshmallow shooters, turkey baster flutes, even tools to blow out birthday candles from 30 feet away. All made from simple household products and all designed to inspire young minds.
Hopefully we're finding a good way to explain the cutting edge in science to younger kids and what's really happening in the objects around them in the world.
This Week in History is brought to you by HP. HP services and technology help companies face, manage, and love change.
The HP Blade System server powered by Intel Xeon processors. Consolidation made easy.
When you meet the men and women who serve America in the military and in the government, you find the strength and character of this nation. You find courage, commitment, and the enduring belief that the best thing of all is what matters most: freedom.
It's time for the lending industry to change. That's why eLoan has consultants who don't make money based on the rate of the loan and has no lender fees. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
What cooks like butter, spreads like butter, and has a fresh dairy taste like butter without the cholesterol and high saturated fat? Smart Balance Buttery Spread. Smart Balance just received another Best Taste Award and is endorsed by professional chefs. It's the only spread with a patented balance of fats to help increase HDL good cholesterol and avoids trans fat naturally, not artificially as some spreads do. Smart Balance. You're going to love that buttery taste.
There's an even better way to care for your nest egg. Objective financial advice. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
From the surface of the sea to high in the sky, hurricane forecasters are tracking Hurricane Rita right now using the most up-to-date technology available. Our Zane Vergie has more on that part of the story. She's joining us now live from the CNN Center. Zane?
Wolf, we've come to rely on the National Hurricane Center for accurate and up-to-date information, and it's more important when you're dealing with a catastrophic storm like Rita. But getting that data is quite tough. When it comes to hurricanes, knowledge is power. The more we know about a storm, the better we can prepare for the onslaught. But where does the data come from? We're all familiar with satellite images like this one, which allow forecasters to track the storm from space. Closer in, specialized planes fly directly into hurricanes, often multiple times in a single day, gathering critical information about wind speed and barometric pressure. And on the surface of the sea, a series of weather stations relay real-time information on conditions. Some of the stations are on buoys throughout the Gulf of Mexico, belonging to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Others are located on oil platforms. And the data they're providing on Hurricane Rita is nothing short of alarming. Within the past few hours, one buoy, some 200 miles off the Louisiana coast, recorded swells topping 32 feet, taller than a 3-story building. Not the size of the waves depicted in the movie A Perfect Storm, but still a danger to shipping and oil and gas rigs and platforms. And it could get bigger as Rita moves closer. Of course, none of this technology was even around in 1900 when a monster hurricane struck Galveston in what remains the deadliest disaster in U.S. history, with at least 6,000 dead, possibly twice that number. With so much advance warning on hurricanes, it's unlikely we're ever going to see that kind of death toll in the United States again. All the data, though, on Rita tells us it's an extremely dangerous storm, and anyone who's told to evacuate should absolutely do so. Wolf?
All right, Zane, thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Let's immediately go to the National Hurricane Center. Max Mayfield is joining us right now. Max, thank you very much for joining us. It looks like you're constantly getting new information. What is the latest we know about Hurricane Rita?
Well, actually, we just had an aircraft report in there with, it looks like the pressure has dropped again a little bit surprising here. This is still a very, very dangerous Category 4 hurricane. We'll likely see some fluctuations. It may go down a little bit, may go up a little bit, but the wise thing to do is go ahead and plan on a Category 4 hurricane making landfall.
Well, what does that mean specifically? The pressure has dropped just a little bit. What does that mean?
Well, we thought that we were going to see a little bit of weakening here this evening, and that's just not happening. The pressure is going down, and typically the winds come up when that happens. So we'll likely see some fluctuations. As it gets closer to the coast, the water temperature is not going to be as favorable, and the air level environment is not going to be as favorable. So we could see a little bit of weakening there, but again, the difference between Category 4 and Category 5 is just not worth even talking about.
You've now issued a tropical storm warning for the whole Louisiana coast, basically, including New Orleans, as opposed to a watch. For people in that area, which was battered, as you know, by Hurricane Katrina, what does that mean?
Well, it means that what we have done here, the hurricane warning goes from Morgan City, Louisiana, over to Port O'Connor, Texas, and then the rest of the Louisiana coast is under that tropical storm warning. And we did that because they likely will get some tropical storm force winds. They'll likely be in these outer rain bands and squalls that are passing through, and they may not be sustained tropical storm force for any extended period of time, but they're going to have some winds. The biggest concern there, Wolf, is really the tide levels are a couple of feet above normal in the areas that were impacted by Katrina. Southeast Louisiana, Mississippi, even over here at Dauphin Island, they had a report 2 feet above normal tide levels, and that will likely come up 3 to even 5 feet above normal before it's all over.
The pictures that we're getting, the live pictures we're getting from New Orleans right now, the skies already, the clouds, they look very, very ominous. How worried should these people be?
Well, they need to deal with the reality here that they're going to have some tropical storm force winds, not hurricane force winds, but they're going to have some sustained winds in these squalls, and then they're likely going to get 3 to 5 inches of rain, and I know that's the absolute last thing that they want to hear over in New Orleans.
One final question about the Galveston, Houston area. What are they bracing for?
They need to be bracing for a strong Category 4 hurricane, and no one can guarantee whether the center of this hurricane will come on shore just to the south of Galveston Island or a little bit to the north of there. It really makes a difference. If it comes in south of there, it's going to push all that storm surge up to 20 feet with wave action on top of that up into the bay. If it goes in north of Galveston Island, the Sabine Pass area, Beaumont, Port Arthur, they'll get the biggest impact, but there'll be impacts even over here definitely into Louisiana, Cameron, Louisiana, the Lake Charles area, even on into Vermilion Bay.
Max Mayfield, thanks for all your important work. Appreciate it very much. Max Mayfield is the director of the National Hurricane Center in Miami. For a threatening storm looking for a vulnerable bullseye, unfortunately, Houston is an almost perfect target. Coming up, we'll tell you how Houston's geography works against it in the face of a storm. And while many are fleeing the city, what about those who need help? Like the elderly, the sick, and the newborns. We'll tell you what Houston's hospitals are doing right now. And Jack Cafferty will be here with your email to our question. What should be done to re-employ hurricane victims? You can still send him your email. Go to CaffertyFile@CNN.com.
Your Smart Start, miss.
You need 4 bowls of Smart Start to get the vitamin C in 1 bowl of Total.
Your grape nuts.
More than 10 bowls to match Total's calcium.
Chef recommends 2 spoons.
2 spoons?
Special K for you.
And even 20 bowls of original Special K couldn't equal the whole grain in Total. Only Total has 100% whole grain, 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals, and 100 calories.
We'll take Total. Sorry, no substitutions.
Total, 1 bowl, 100%.
Do you, Morgan Ambrose Robert, take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife?
Of course, that very much depends on what you mean by the question, do you? Forward-looking statements involve risk and uncertainties. We're opening up a can of worms here. No single answer readily presents itself. I mean, have we really explored every avenue? Have the parties made certain representations, warranties, and agreements in connection with the merger? Do the parties agree to be subject to the satisfaction of the regulatory approvals as required to consummate the transaction? Who amongst us will ever know?
I do.
I pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Less talk. Make it happen. The Royal Bank of Scotland Group.
Lots of Wi-Fi users work in coffee shops, which aren't always the best places to work. Wouldn't it be great to work wherever you wanted instead of only in hotspots? Now you can with Verizon Wireless Broadband Access. Wi-Fi only works in limited locations, while Broadband Access is the nation's largest high-speed wireless broadband network and is expanding coast to coast. Now get unlimited access at a great price, so you won't get stuck in a not-so-hot spot. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
What do you know about computers?
My daughter definitely knows how to use a computer better than I do half the time, and she's 3.5.
Hi, I'm John Scher, CEO and founder of Video Professor. You know, I've been hearing comments like that for over 14 years now. Listen to this.
I did the Excel, and it was a lot of fun. I had a real good time. I learned a lot.
The difference? Just an hour with one of my CDs, and they're easy to use. The CD plays like a video on your computer screen. Just follow the step-by-step instruction. If you call now, I'll send you one free. You just pay a small shipping and handling. Now, the reason I'll do this is because I know that once you try my product, you'll come back to us for all your computer learning needs. You know, if you can't learn, I'll even refund your shipping and handling. So, learn a new skill in less than an hour. Try my product.
I think that's the most fun I've had learning something about the computer.
To get your free computer learning CD, you must call now. Call 1-800-454-9709.
With New Orleans now under a tropical storm warning, the city is certainly hoping for the best, but worrying deeply about the worst. Our Jeff Quinangi is in New Orleans. He's joining us now live. Hi, Jeff.
Hello there, Wolf. And those warnings cannot be good news at all in any way you slice it for the folks here in New Orleans. That tropical storm warning, you can see the last couple of hours, there's been a light drizzle, which is not good news for the next 24, 36 hours. And people are literally watching and waiting. In fact, we had a chance to speak about a situation room. We went into a situation room in Jefferson Parish, one of the suburbs of New Orleans, and Dr. Walter Maestri, he's the Director of Emergency Management, took us through the emergency room just to show us exactly what happens, how they're tracking Hurricane Rita. Let's take a listen.
Hello, emergency management.
This is the war room. And see, we got all the maps here.
Katrina took us by surprise.
So as the latest bulletins come in, they'll flash up on the smart board. They told us in the beginning, west, west, west. Well, now that west is curving east, east, east. And every degree it turns to the east is more of a problem for us. This now is the area that's most at risk with Rita.
Volunteer evacuation. Our levee system is weakened, but we're hoping that it will hold up.
If it moves any more to the east and that tidal surge starts to move up into the teens, we got problems.
That's right, Wolf. And his words, ominous words, we have problems. Look what Hurricane Katrina did behind me. Literally took a chunk out of this house here. People here are really fearful that Hurricane Rita could cause quite a bit of damage, and especially those folks who had just returned to New Orleans, they're having to pack up and go out back again. They're not very happy at this point, Wolf.
All right, Jeff Quinangi, thank you very much. Jeff Quinangi in New Orleans reporting. President Bush has warned Texans to be prepared for the worst. Up next, a Houston hospital is doing just that. Our medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, will tell us how the medical community in Texas is planning to respond to this disaster. We'll go to Sanjay right after this.
The HP Blade System server powered by Intel Xeon processors. Consolidation made easy.
Protect your family with life insurance from Prudential.
Hey, Dad, what's life insurance?
Well, life insurance is something parents buy. So in case something happens to them, you kids will be okay.
Oh. Do we have life insurance?
Yeah, we do.
Good.
Yeah, it is good.
The plastics, the materials, the medicines, things that make modern life modern come from one place, chemistry. Learn more at AmericanChemistry.com.
Come to Priceline now for the best deals on airfare. Name your own price and save up to $100 off other leading travel sites on each ticket you buy. That's it. Only at the new Priceline.
It's the hot thing in activewear. Bengay's Ultra Strength Pain Relieving Patch. Now even stronger for deep heating relief. And it lasts up to 8 hours. Try the Ultra Strength Bengay Pain Relieving Patch. It's what's hot in pain relief.
Closed captioning provided by dermatologist recommended Sarna anti-itch lotion.
Are you caught in a vicious cycle of itching and scratching? Get Sarna lotion. Soothing Sarna contains 2 medications to stop itch fast. Suffer no more. Get dermatologist recommended Sarna lotion.
If Hurricane Rita does hit Houston hard, as many people are now fearing, it could be because of its unique and perhaps unfortunate geography. Our Brian Todd has been looking into this part of the story. He's joining us live. Brian?
Geography and topography, Wolf, all working against the city of Houston, a place where previous disasters have produced some eerily familiar scenes. Streets inundated, houses immersed, some up to their barely visible rooftops. A major storm hovers. A major city is paralyzed. It may look like New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. It's in fact Houston, Texas, after a tropical storm. Allison arrived and stayed a while in June of 2001, dumping more than 30 inches of rain on some parts of Houston, killing more than 20 people. City officials and scientists tell us this is a town especially vulnerable to flooding whenever rain moves in, from smaller bands to a hurricane the size of Rita.
If 30 feet of storm surge hit the Houston, Galveston Bay area, it could be a catastrophic event.
Phil Turnipseed is a hydrologist with the U.S. Geological Survey. He says this city, built on a low-lying coastal plain and right at sea level in some areas, is, in this context, a victim of its commercial prosperity.
Around the turn of the century, when Houston was growing, there was a lot of expansion of both population and industry, and the industry used groundwater to grow. That's what they used for water use and for industrial use. And so the aquifers in the area have been overpumped.
The result, according to Turnipseed and city officials, something called subsidence. When water was pumped out of the ground, the land in Houston gradually sank, up to 10 feet in some areas. On top of that, a city official tells CNN, Houston's streets are designed to be what he calls retention ponds, places to hold water when drainage ditches and channels overflow so that homes and other buildings won't get flooded. But when the streets overflow after a major storm, everything around them is in danger. The city has taken steps in recent years to mitigate potential flooding, digging more reservoirs, widening channels, establishing a plan to use surface water rather than groundwater for residential and industrial use to stop the ground from sinking. Because of that, a top city official tells us he believes Houston is better prepared now for Hurricane Rita than it was for Tropical Storm Allison. The concern, he says, is that Rita, like Allison, will move slowly over the city, and in that event, more flooding is inevitable. Wolf.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Brian Todd reporting. Houston is experiencing a mass exodus. Many traffic cameras are catching scenes of traffic jams, with many of the images posted online. Our internet reporter Abby Tatton is checking out that situation. She's joining us now live. Abby?
Yeah, Wolf, the website is Houston TransStar, and there are many, many traffic cams along these evacuation routes where you can get some idea of the gridlock in some places and deserted roads in some other places that have already been evacuated. This is one of the main routes out there, Interstate 45, heading north. If you look at this picture recently taken, you can see the Houston skyline in the background there. Lots of cars backed up on this one. On this picture, this is Interstate 45 again at Louetta, a virtual parking lot out there right now. And it's not just now. This has been going on for many, many hours. These pictures were taken overnight, 12 hours ago, 4:15 a.m. You see the people were evacuating all through the night there. There are other areas where people have already got out. Galveston, the city further south there, the island city where 90% of people have already evacuated according to reports. Traffic cameras all along there near the causeway show that it's virtually deserted. Those residents have already left. But a very different story. As you can see around Houston, people are taking photos of the gridlock, uploading them onto sites like this one, Flickr.com, showing the miserable situation there in the roads as people try and evacuate. Wolf.
Miserable is a good word to describe it. Thanks very much, Abby, for that. Up next, are Houston's hospitals ready for what's coming their way? This storm. Our Sanjay Gupta. He's on the scene in Houston. He's checking the situation for us. He'll join us live. That's coming up next.
After Katrina, is America ready for the next disaster? CNN Sunday night, we travel across the country and find out, is America prepared? CNN Sunday night, 80s.
Parkinson's disease. Most people think it strikes just the elderly.
But they are wrong.
Someday it might affect your family.
Someday it might affect you.
But there is hope.
To find out how you can help, call Parkinson's Resources of Oregon at 1-800-426-6806.
Shopping for a new home? Did you know that in the time it takes you to drive to just one house, you could visit 100 without leaving your home? Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties introduces a better way to shop. Find your new home on TV or online, anytime. Hundreds and hundreds of dream homes are now just a click away. On Channel 15 or at cbseal.com. Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties. Discover the joy of home shopping from home.
Baseline to baseline. Forehand to backhand. Slam to slam. Nobody covers tennis like ESPN and ESPN2. We're all over the clay, grass, and hard court scene. serving up the top players in the world wherever they play, all season long.
Tennis on ESPN and ESPN2 is brought to you locally by
Pacific Continental. The right back.
They say that in life, you can either sit on the sidelines or you can get involved. But if you join the Joey Harrington Challenge, you can sit on the sidelines and be involved. Like the involved men and women from the Portland area businesses, they've accepted the Joey Harrington Challenge and will match my $200 donation to the Portland Boys and Girls Club for every touchdown I make or pass this season.
It's always a great day at the Boys and Girls Club thanks to the Joey Harrington Challenge.
Weather is the news. Trust CNN. It's essential.
All design begins with a single line. A line that challenges. A line that creates power or control or size. At Infinity, a line has been drawn.
In Houston, many of those able to leave are anxiously flying and driving away ahead of Hurricane Rita. But what about those too weak or too sick to evacuate on their own? With more on this part of the story, including what's happening in Houston's hospitals, our senior medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, is joining us on the phone. What are you picking up, Sanjay?
Well, very interesting. Much different, first of all, than New Orleans, where I was most recently, Wolf, talking about the preparedness. Really taking no chances here, Wolf. There's several little things, obvious things like boarding up of the windows, that sort of thing. But also they've installed these submarine-like doors, Wolf, to keep any water. They learned this lesson from Allison, Tropical Storm Allison, to keep any water from actually getting into the hospital. If some water does get into the hospital, they have ways of shutting down corridors completely to try and keep each corridor separate so water doesn't flow, disrupting valuable power systems, things like that. They've also moved all their generators. They have all their generators on several floors above sea level so that they don't short-circuit out like what happened at Charity Hospital, for example, in New Orleans. What's interesting, Wolf, about Houston, it sort of falls in a gray area. They're not really going to take any patients, evacuate patients to the Texas Medical Center when the hurricane starts because it too might get hit, but they also feel comfortable enough at this point not to evacuate most of their patients from the big hospitals at the Texas Medical Center either. So they're sort of in that precarious gray position. Right now, most of the patients and most of the essential personnel in the Houston hospitals, which is the largest medical system complex in the world, Wolf, an important point, they take care of tens of thousands of patients. The patients, for the most part, are staying at this time, Wolf.
And is that safe for them to stay based on what you could see and what you're hearing, Sanjay?
It certainly seems that way, and they seem very confident. I talked to the guy who's the head of disaster preparedness for the Texas medical system. He looked me straight in the eye and said, we're 100% confident that we're going to be fine here at the Texas medical system. Again, from Katrina most recently, but also from Allison 4 years ago, they've learned some valuable lessons here, covering everything from flooding, electricity out, plumbing out, to violence. They got all these angles, at least in their mind's eye, at this point covered. This is going to be a true test for them.
Sanjay Gupta, thanks very much. Dr. Sanjay Gupta is our senior medical correspondent. He's in Houston getting ready for this storm like so many of our CNN team. Tom Foreman is here with us in the Situation Room. You're looking at a lot of situations right now. What specifically you have going?
One directly related to what Sanjay said. Let's take a look quick at Galveston because I want to talk about where the hospitals are there. We're flying into Galveston Island here. If you look at this, this is the front part where the storm would be coming in from this side. If we move down the island just a little bit, I'll sail forward just a little bit here. The hospitals that are in question that we're talking about tend to be on this side of the island toward the bay side. So they'll get some protection from what's happening on the front side here. But the level of water we've been talking about, if it comes through in the big way that we've talked about, it's going to do no good. They're still going to have serious flooding around the base of them, and that's going to be a big issue.
We've been looking at that water, the surf, as it approaches the Galveston area. We got a picture. I want to show our viewers what we saw yesterday and what we're seeing today. This was yesterday. Take a look at this, Tom. You can see the surf. It's not very significant right now. 24 hours later, though, it's getting a little bit more significant, and this is only just the beginning. These are pictures as it's happening right now. These are live pictures coming in from Galveston. You can see the surf beginning to have an effect.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the differences that we're going to have if this water keeps coming in that way. One of the things I also want to talk about is how much it shifts over toward the Louisiana-Texas border. If we go over there's a big lake that I want us to look at real quickly. We're going to fly over here.
This is right on the border.
Yeah, right on the border. This is a lake that's famous for saltwater fishing called Sabine Lake. It's right there in that little nexus. And if you look at what's going to happen there, if the storm starts coming in, I can't show it there right like that. Let me get those off very quickly and I'll show you. It's going to look like a lot of, well, I'm not going to be able to show you, but that's going to run way over its edges if the flooding comes in there, a big issue.
Tom Foreman, thank you very much. Up next, helping hurricane evacuees get back on their feet. What's the best way to help people forced out of their homes, try to get their jobs back, their lives back? Jack Cafferty standing by with your email. We'll be right back.
I was here before here had a name. As fields became farms, as grasslands became greens, and now as families become neighbors, till after their kids become parents, I'll be here. A natural gas well, one of Kerr-McGee's thousands, meeting energy demand in harmony with the land, with still more to explore.
The award-winning Ace Sensations Flat Paint with Scotchgard Protector makes stains so easy to clean, nobody will believe you have kids. Ace, the helpful place.
Introducing new Smart Balance Microwave Popcorn, the world's first to help improve cholesterol, with no hydrogenated oil and no trans fatty acids. Smart Balance Microwave Popcorn, the great tasting popcorn that's actually good for you.
Get live streaming video from Verizon Broadband, the world's most advanced network, and stay on top of your favorite sporting events. If you can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about!
Last year, Norfolk Southern and its shipping partners took hundreds of thousands of freight loads off the highway. In fact, they've invested millions to convert even more traffic in the coming years. So it's easy to see how the economy won't be the only thing that benefits. Norfolk Southern, the future of transportation.
They are the kings and queens, the potentates of the road. We recognize them by their restless wing-tipped feet. We support them with new, thicker mattresses and lay the freshest fine white linens at their feet, an offering of respect. Our beds, ourselves, we've changed it all for them. Rest well, my liege. Rest well.
Objective financial advice. It's right for any nest egg, regardless of size. A.G. Edwards. For 118 years, fully invested in our clients.
People should be treated fairly. That's why eLoan has fought for the strictest privacy laws in the industry. Check out our current monthly mortgage options. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
Jack Cafferty's been going through your email. He's joining us now live from New York. Jack?
Wolf, the government reports that 214,000 Americans are out of work due to Katrina. the 3-week-ago hurricane, and they say that number could rise to 500,000, and that's before Rita even gets here in 2 days. If it slams into the Gulf Coast as it's expected to, there could be tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who lose their jobs along the Gulf Coast of Texas. So the question from last hour is this: what should we do to re-employ the hurricane victims? Liz in Cherry Hill, New Jersey writes, evacuees should be the first people hired in rebuilding their own cities. Construction contracts should be done on a bid-against basis, and training should be provided. Even a 70-year-old woman like myself can handle a paintbrush or roller, a hammer, and a hand sander. Trish writes, if every company that hired illegal immigrants would fire them, as they should, and give those jobs to the victims of Katrina and possibly Rita, we would be a lot better off. Lauren in New Mexico writes, the WPA is an idea whose time has come again. FDR and Alphabet Soup helped us in the aftermath of the Great Depression. Maybe resurrecting these programs will see us through the aftermath of Hurricanes Rita and Katrina. And Tim writes this: how are the federal, state, and local levels of government going to re-employ people who lost their jobs due to the hurricanes when there are a ton of people who didn't have jobs before the hurricane? It's tough to find jobs now, let alone after a mass influx of unemployed people. And that's all we have in the file, Mr. Blitzer.
Jack, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. And stay with CNN for continuing coverage of Hurricane Rita. We're in the Situation Room every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington. Lou Dobbs tonight, starting right now. Lou standing by in New York. Lou?
Thank you, Wolf. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, Hurricane Rita, already one of the biggest storms in American history, is threatening to inflict catastrophic damage on the Texas and Louisiana coasts. Rita is now a Category 4 hurricane. It is a huge storm, nearly 400 miles wide. It's packing winds of 145 miles an hour, and it's expected to smash into the Gulf Coast early Saturday. Nearly 2 million people are trying tonight desperately to evacuate coastal areas before that hurricane strikes, but hundreds of thousands of those evacuees tonight are stuck in massive traffic jams, particularly in Houston, as they struggle to make their way to safety before the storm hits and before they run out of gas on congested and snarled highways. From the east coast of Texas to southwest Louisiana, residents are bracing for the onslaught of what now appears to be a monster storm that is set to come ashore. It's as powerful as Hurricane Katrina less than a month ago. Tonight, we're reporting from across the broad coastlines of eastern Texas and western Louisiana. Now, the apparent target of this Category 4 storm, Sean Caleb's reports from Galveston, Texas, which now appears to be squarely in the path of Hurricane Rita, and which could feel the full force of this storm when it makes landfall. Rob Marciano reports from Baytown, Texas, part of the Houston Metroplex, where millions of people are fleeing the storm, creating huge traffic jams and clogging highways north. Mary Snow reports tonight from New Orleans, which is now being hit by the outer bands of Hurricane Rita. The question in New Orleans tonight is whether the weakened levees there will be able to withstand whatever rains and storm surges Rita delivers to the already battered city. We begin with Sean Caleb's in Galveston. Sean.
Well, Lou, we have been watching the waves out here throughout the day as the tide has moved in, moved out, now seems to be moving back in again. Really, the only tangible way we know Rita is out there churning and moving toward this area. The whitecaps kicking up well off the beach here, what you can call the beach, as the waves move in. Really, two significant stories have become very clear today. One, the people here in Galveston, this narrow strip of Barrier Island, are taking the evacuation notice very seriously. We have seen almost a total evacuation here. Secondly, the fact that, as you mentioned, perhaps as many as 2 million people are trying to get out of the potential path of this storm as well, and it is causing a nightmare on the highways. We'll start with that. If you just look at the interstates leading from the coast up in toward Houston, toward those areas, you just see traffic that is just tied up for miles and miles and miles. It is extremely hot out here, near record conditions. That is causing some vehicles to overheat. We've heard stories of people being caught in traffic for as long as 9 hours and only moving a matter of 20 miles. Well, this has certainly got the attention of the governor of the state. He has now ordered both lanes of the interstate, 45, both south and north, to be cleared so traffic can move up north. We have not seen any evidence of that, however, from the aerial pictures that we have gotten so far. Also, they are supposedly sending out gas vehicles out to help all these cars gas up that are simply running out of gas. Now here on Galveston, authorities have simply been overwhelmed. They have spent much of the past 48 hours trying to get the sick, trying to get the infirm, trying to get the elderly off this island. We know that authorities have moved about 2,300 people on their own. They've also provided buses and set up a central location where if people didn't have transportation off this island, they were able to go there and be taken off. The last thing anyone wants is a situation they saw unfold in the Louisiana area when Katrina blew through that area. There are some big differences here, but also, this is an area that knows its history. Remember back in 1900, everybody's read the stories. As many as 6,000 people died when a punishing hurricane ripped through this area. So people here know that history. They also know what happened to the east, and so they are taking the evacuation. One final note, as we were driving through this area today, there was an area not terribly far from where we are where this 18-foot seawall stops. Now, forecasters are predicting that area could be inundated by as much as 25 feet of water, just completely swamped. Well, we ran into a group of horses, a business there that has horse riding on the beach. There are 39 horses. The owner has been trying desperately to get those horses out of the field. So far, we know that she's been able to get 6. So there, as far as we know, still 33 horses down there, Lou. She is simply brokenhearted and terrified that if she doesn't get help soon, those horses are simply going to perish. Lou?
And with what the National Hurricane Center is telling us, Sean, this is going to be a powerful storm, and dread and apprehension are appropriate. Sean, give us a sense right now, the temperature there and what you're seeing in terms of the clouds as this storm is approaching, which we're told could happen as early as late tomorrow evening.
Yeah, we've actually been waiting to see if we're going to be touched by those outer bands. Right now we haven't. I can tell you it is extraordinarily hot here. It's almost hazy as you look up and down. This is Seawall Avenue. It is void of any traffic at this hour. With the waves out there have begun to break further and further out. We're seeing whitecaps perhaps 200 yards off the coast. That is a dramatic contrast to what we saw yesterday. It was almost like a lake. So this storm is moving in. It's extremely hot. We are feeling the temperature drop ever so slightly. Perhaps the fact that pressure is dropping and that punishing hurricane could be making its way right here. Lou?
Sean, thank you very much. Sean Caleb's reporting from Baytown, Texas. The massive exodus from Houston is clogging highways as far north as 100 miles from Houston. As we reported, many drivers stuck in traffic jams for many hours are now simply running out of fuel. Rob Marciano reports. Rob?
Hi, Lou. Well, you know, the city itself, a huge city, Houston, completely shut down. It's a ghost town. Well, where do those people go? They hit the roads, and in order to do that, well, they had to fill up first, and then they're stuck in traffic, and even with the gas they filled up with, they're running out of that. Well, lines at the gas stations, you bet the gas stations that actually have gas, there are tremendous amounts of lines in order to fill up tanks. As Sean mentioned, tremendous amount of traffic, especially from Houston north, away from the storm, towards Dallas along Highway 45, which is typically, 3-4 hour drive to Dallas. We've had reports of 14 hours or more to get there. People are running out of gas in this searing heat, record temperatures near 100 degrees. We've had reports, people are comparing this to the Superdome, except spread out across the entire city. So not sure what's worse, staying in your car and sweating and running out of gas, and possibly even being stranded on the highway when this storm comes in. So a dilemma of a different sort as this city prepares way in advance for this storm, which now may be shifting a little bit farther to the east. But Galveston, Houston, Baytown, where I am right now, certainly still within the cone of the path of this storm. The waves that were breaking into Galveston earlier today, eerily similar to the way they were described back in 1900 by Isaac Klein, the Weather Bureau chief in Galveston then, the great 1900 hurricane. Waves rolling, slick, something you don't see typically in Galveston. But now, Lou, as the shift begins to turn, the track begins to shift farther east, southwest Louisiana, under the gun, and even southeast Louisiana, New Orleans, what they don't want to hear, more rain and possibly a storm surge from this system. Back to you.
Rob, thank you very much. Rob Marciano, we appreciate it. Thousands of people trying, of course, to evacuate Houston by all routes possible, and certainly by air. But incredibly, some of the people responsible for helping those evacuees find refuge simply failed to show up for work today. And among the missing workers at Houston International Airport, in a shameful shadow of what happened in New Orleans, 100 of the staff of the Transportation Security Administration. They didn't show up at all. The failure of those workers to report for duty leading to long lines of increasingly frustrated and angry evacuees and delayed aircraft departures. While this storm has weakened to a Category 4 hurricane, there are fears it could again strengthen to Category 5 and inflict a major disaster on Galveston. Just how much damage depends, of course, on the size of the storm surge that comes ashore with Rita. University of Texas researchers are predicting a Category 5 hurricane with a storm surge of 19 feet would flood the entire city of Galveston. This computer simulation is based on Hurricane Carla that caused massive damage on the Texas coast back in 1961. Louisiana is also bracing for its second hurricane in less than a month tonight. The outer bands of Hurricane Rita have already begun to darken the skies in western Louisiana and have brought rain showers to New Orleans, the first significant rain since Hurricane Katrina. Everyone there, of course, hoping that because of the weakened levees and the renewed threat of flooding, that forecasts of 3 to 5 inches of rain over the next 24 hours are accurate. Mary Snow reports from New Orleans. Mary?
Well, Lou, there is also a tropical storm warning in effect here in New Orleans, and with that, the worry level has been turned up a notch. As you mentioned, the concern here, the weakened levees. We're at the 17th Street Canal, and what is being done now that hadn't been done in Katrina, 60-foot steel pilings are being put up. They have been locked in now. This as an attempt to act as a barrier between Lake Pontchartrain and the weakened levee, which is about a quarter of a mile behind us. Earlier today, we took an aerial tour with the military. We joined General Bruce Berwick of the Joint Task Force Katrina. He was inspecting the levees. His assessment at this point is that the best case scenario would call for minor flooding, about 2 to 4 feet. He expects that to happen in the areas that were so hard hit with Katrina. Earlier today, also, the governor of Louisiana, Kathleen Blanco, spoke, saying that with the storm taking a turn toward the east, southwest Louisiana, that is in danger, and she urged people along the coastline there to get out.
Rita is a powerful storm. It is a massive storm. Forecasters are calling for 20-foot seas or a storm surge in Vermilion Bay. Vermilion Bay affects Iberia and St. Mary and Vermilion parishes. Hurricane force winds will rip much of western Louisiana. I'm urging people to head north.
Do you want me to open up?
This, of course, as the governor is telling people not to head toward Texas, and ominous clouds are starting to roll in here in New Orleans. There were small patches of rain before. They are being intermittent with some spots of sunshine, but again, a tropical storm warning in effect here in New Orleans. Lou?
And Mary, of course, the governor warning Louisianans not to head for Texas because Texas already taking on a couple of 100,000 of the evacuees from New Orleans and from Louisiana. Thank you very much, Mary Snow. Appreciate it. Sure. We're facing the prospect now of 2 Category 4 hurricanes hitting this country in less than a month. That would be unprecedented. 2 such powerful storms have never, in fact, hit this country in the same year. Some are suggesting that these powerful hurricanes are caused by global warming. Others say they are part of a natural 30 to 40-year cycle. Whatever the reason, these hurricanes are not the only extremes in our national weather pattern. Weather over the United States is always volatile. It is increasingly unpredictable and often deadly. Bill Tucker is here with more. Bill?
Lou, of course, we're focused on the prospects of hurricanes hitting the coast, but the truth is there are more than just hurricanes that work in the weather patterns. Take a look at some of these statistics that we just put together, starting with the fact that there are more than 20 million lightning strikes in the United States every year. There are more than 3,500 earthquakes. We had 2 that happened today just outside of Los Angeles, outside Bakersfield, a 4.0 and a 4.9. There is 1,000 plus tornadoes every year in this country. We have volcanoes in Washington and Hawaii. And so far, Lou, this year we've had 17 named storms which have hit the coast of America.
Now, how does all of this compare to the rest of the world? I've often heard it said that this country has the most extreme weather in the world.
The short answer is we don't know. The scientists are looking at that and making studies on it. They hope to have an answer in a couple of years, but they just don't know. A lot of people are laying this at the feet of global warming, saying that's what's the cause of it. We'll get to that a little later in the program, I know, but we just don't know.
Okay. Bill Tucker, thank you very much. Well, we'll have more on the violent weather ahead. As this country suffers from one of the worst hurricane seasons ever. We'll be examining, as Bill Tucker said, whether global warming or natural weather patterns are responsible for the rising intensity and frequency of these storms. 3 leading weather experts will join me. And Hurricane Rita could have a major impact on our economy, and people all over this country could soon be paying higher prices for all sorts of products. We'll have that special report, and we'll be going live to the National Hurricane Center for the very latest projections on the direction of Hurricane Rita, its expected strength, and its likely impact on the Texas and Louisiana coasts. Stay with us.
It's the hot thing in activewear, Bengay's Ultra Strength Pain Relieving Patch. Now even stronger for deep heating relief. And it lasts up to 8 hours. Try the Ultra Strength Bengay Pain Relieving Patch. It's what's hot in pain relief.
Every day, buildings everywhere are getting stronger, quieter, more attractive, and more energy efficient. What does it take to put everything in place? The right chemistry. Improving the things we all need is a goal to build on, and it's ours. Dow, living improved daily.
For years, E-Trade stood outside, throwing stones at the financial establishment. Now that we've matured and offer everything from trading to banking, we're doing it from inside. Be extraordinary at eTrade.com.
It's time for the lending industry to change. That's why eLoan has consultants who don't make money based on the rate of the loan and has no lender fees. Those are some of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
CNN Tonight. Hurricane Rita rampages across the Gulf. New Orleans evacuates again. Coastal Texans too. Get the latest on the monster storm. Larry King, CNN Tonight, 90.
So, Mom, what if something happens? Should I stay where I am and wait for you, or go to Grandma's house since it's closer?
There's no reason not to have a plan in case of an emergency.
Is there a place we all meet?
And one extremely good reason why you should.
What should I do?
Talk to your family about what you would do in case of an emergency. For more information, visit www.ready.gov.
Comcast. Focused on community.
Comcast is for kids. Ride along with the officers who make a difference with Animal Planet's heroes. Catch the wild adventures of the original crocodile hunter with Croc Files on Discovery Kids. And tune into Nickelodeon to meet new friends with Joe and Blue on Blue's Clues.
Whatever you're into,
it's on Comcast.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
There is concern tonight that gasoline prices that rose to over $3 a gallon in the wake of Hurricane Katrina could further spike to as high as $5 a gallon after this hurricane hits. The American Petroleum Institute warning today that Hurricane Rita is likely to cause serious disruptions to U.S. crude oil and refined production pipelines. That would cause the price at the pump to rise dramatically, we're told, and oil analysts say $5 a gallon for gasoline is certainly not out of the question. More than 27% of our refinery capacity in this country lies in the path of this dangerous new storm. And the Texas Gulf Coast is home to 2 major ports that handle up to 15% of all U.S. oil imports. Shell Oil today shut down its biggest refinery, processing some 340,000 barrels of oil each day. It's in the path of the hurricane. We would like to know how you feel about the issue. Do you believe the federal government should impose gasoline price freezes during natural disasters like Hurricane Katrina and now Rita? Cast your vote at BlueDobbs.com. We'll have the results later here in the broadcast. The economic impact from Hurricane Rita, so close after Katrina, could extend much further than the price of energy. U.S. industries employing millions of middle-class Americans could find themselves severely damaged by this unprecedented series of major hurricanes. The result could be higher prices for consumers all across the country. Kitty Pilgrim reports.
You don't have to be in the path of a catastrophic hurricane to feel its punishing impact. Higher prices are already here and are going higher. Plywood nationwide since Hurricane Katrina up 50%. Framing lumber up 15% in less than a month. Because of the hot housing market, a lot of the material was already in short supply.
The two hurricanes are definitely going to have an impact on home prices in as much as they're going to impact the availability of building materials and the availability of labor. We haven't seen the increase in shingles yet, but that will absolutely be part of the equation, as will insulation and undoubtedly drywall.
New Orleans was the biggest port for importing cement in the country. No more. Now under discussion whether to import more Canadian lumber and Mexican cement. Economists say it may be necessary to at least slow runaway prices for those products.
Rather than see a spike in cement prices like we're seeing a spike in oil prices, we should let in enough cement from Mexico to keep that price stable.
People living in coastal areas are already seeing their insurance rates climb.
The last couple of years, insurance companies have started to increase rates in coastal areas because of the increased risk for catastrophic losses, not just in the Gulf states, but really from Maine to Texas.
Higher prices also expected on plastics and textiles, and businesses will pass those costs on to the consumer. Gulf Coast residents have fled the storms into almost every state, and rental costs nationwide are expected to rise dramatically. Now, these higher prices don't include the most important economic costs. The Labor Department just reported the highest number of unemployment claims in more than 2 years. The Congressional Budget Office says Hurricane Katrina has resulted in 400,000 lost jobs. And Lou, Hurricane Rita is fast approaching.
Indeed. Kitty, thank you very much, Kitty Pilgrim. Prices for other building materials have spiked since Hurricane Katrina on strong demand, of course, and fears of supply shortages. Lumber prices up 15%, steel prices have risen 10%, all of this in less than a month. Scrap steel prices are up 15%. Cement production disrupted by Katrina. Cement prices also expected to show a sharp rise. And still ahead here, we'll have more on why lawmakers are distracting the very busy director of the National Hurricane Center while a major hurricane heads for the Texas and Louisiana coasts. That story is next. And more Americans are living dangerously, moving to regions in this country highly vulnerable to natural disasters. Why and who should pay? We'll have the special report next.
Lou Dobbs Tonight is brought to you by the Sharp Digital Imager Series. All the productivity you want, all the document security you need.
Sharp multifunction products transform the office by adding enhanced color to your documents. Then Sharp technology doubled your productivity by scanning two-sided documents in a single pass. Now Sharp's Data Security Kit is transforming the office again by preventing unauthorized access to information while keeping sensitive digital documents from falling into the wrong hands. The Sharp Digital Imager Series. All the productivity you want, all the document security you need.
The Oracle Grid, a group of low-cost servers connected by Oracle software. Now, if a server fails, the grid just keeps running. The Oracle Grid runs faster, costs less, and never breaks.
Administaff is like a coach for small businesses. They reduce liabilities and offer a systematic way to improve productivity. They provide big company benefits and handle the burdens of employer-related paperwork. Well, almost all the paperwork.
In 1932, during the darkest days of the Great Depression, the first Stanford company was established. Although times were difficult, Lotus Stanford found success through the simple philosophy of hard work, clear vision, and value for the client. Today, 73 years later, the Stanford Financial Group of companies still adhere to these principles. We build to last. Call us at 1-888-9-STANFORD or visit stanfordfinancial.com.
When you realize how often water touches your family's life, you discover just how important healthy, great-tasting water is. Only Pure has a 3-stage filter. Stage 1 filters sediment. Stage 2 reduces contaminants. And Stage 3 filters over minerals. Pure is available in faucet mounts and pitchers. No one delivers great tasting water quite like Pure.
Congressional Republicans say they don't want their investigation into Hurricane Katrina to distract key officials from their jobs. But today, those very same lawmakers called Max Mayfield, the director of the National Hurricane Center, to give testimony. Although Mayfield, of course, is very busy right now tracking Hurricane Rita. Ed Henry has the report from Capitol Hill.
Beamed into a committee room via satellite, Max Mayfield struggled to answer questions about Katrina as he was handed urgent updates on Rita.
Well, I'm getting a wealth of information here. Okay, I'm sorry here. I'm getting a little distracted here, but the
hurricane maven kept getting interrupted.
I honestly can't remember anything that...
More fodder for Democrats who are boycotting the Republican-led Katrina investigation.
Having a hearing on them at a time when people are heading for the hills, literally, to me doesn't seem like a good use of Congress's time.
We have a number of the Republican chairman said Mayfield was given the chance to reschedule, but wanted to address both hurricanes.
We worked this with him. We told him if this was a distraction, that we wouldn't call him at all. Obviously, we didn't make him fly up here or do that. These are important questions, and this was he did this on his own volition.
But Mayfield's TV testimony, juggling two storms, added to an already surreal scene, with mostly no-shows on the Democratic side. 2 Democrats from the Gulf region did attend, but even they want the probe taken over by an independent commission.
One which takes this process out of the hands of politicians and let the experts and those who have directly felt Katrina's impact drive the investigation.
Democrats fear the Republican-led investigation will shift blame from President Bush to local officials.
Who in Louisiana is authorized to order an evacuation?
It's my understanding that it's the local officials.
Now, Chairman Tom Davis told me, however, that he will be asking tough questions of federal officials as well, including ousted FEMA Director Michael Brown. He's the star witness next Tuesday at their next hearing. But it's also interesting that CNN has learned today that, in fact, Michael Brown, even though he recently resigned, is still on the federal payroll. Officials tell us that's only a transitional period that month. He's not making any decisions. But I can tell you next week, Lou, he's going to be in the hot seat.
It looks like he's going to be in the hot seat, and I don't think anyone's forgetting about the mayor of New Orleans and the governor of Louisiana as they look at the prospect of heating up seats for various officials, federal, state, and local. Ed Henry, thank you, sir. Still ahead, I'll be talking with Max Mayfield. We'll be talking about the very latest that has developed on projections of this powerful Category 4 storm. Will it intensify? The storm is heading straight toward Texas and Louisiana now. And 3 leading weather experts will join me to debate why this hurricane season has been one massive storm after another, and whether we should be blaming global warming. Stay with us.
I said, let's get started right. Let's not 3-putt this thing to start off the golf tournament. And I hit the putt and went right in the hole. And what a boost, what a confidence builder. And, then the tournament was mine.
In golf, confidence and the ability to make the shot when you need it is the mark of a champion. Like Jack Nicklaus, the Royal Bank of Scotland Group know it's never good enough just to talk a good game. You have to play a good game. Make it happen.
What cooks like butter, spreads like butter, and has a fresh dairy taste like butter, without the cholesterol and high saturated fat? Smart Balance Buttery Spread. Smart Balance just received another Best Taste Award and is endorsed by professional chefs. It's the only spread with a patented balance of fats to help increase HDL good cholesterol and avoids trans fat naturally, not artificially as some spreads do. Smart Balance. You're going to love that buttery taste.
The Oracle Grid, a group of low-cost servers connected by Oracle software. Now, if a server fails, the grid just keeps running. The Oracle Grid runs faster, costs less, and never breaks.
Last year, Norfolk Southern and its shipping partners took hundreds of thousands of freight loads off the highway. In fact, they've invested millions to convert even more traffic in the coming years. So it's easy to see how the economy won't be the only thing that benefits. Norfolk Southern, the future of transportation.
Hurricane Rita now downgraded to a Category 4 storm, but obviously very powerful. Winds as high as 145 miles an hour. Joining me now is Max Mayfield, the director of the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Max, what are your latest projections now on the storm?
Well, as you said, Lou, it's a very, very dangerous Category 4 hurricane, similar in strength right now to Katrina when it made landfall. The data we're getting in from the aircraft makes us think that we could see another round of strengthening here later on tonight. We'll likely see some fluctuations between now and landfall. The center will be moving on to the coast probably early Saturday morning, and the best, most likely scenario right now is for it to come in here to the upper Texas coast. And I don't really want anyone to think that we can tell you exactly where that landfall is going to be right now, whether it's near Galveston or Beaumont, Port Arthur, or even over closer to Cameron, Louisiana.
Max, last night we were talking about the high pressure system that was forestalling this storm in its northward track. It's obviously begun to move northward. What is your sense of what's happening with that high pressure system, and how much will it release this powerful storm toward the north?
Well, the computer models are really consistent in moving that high pressure system to the northeastward. It's just they vary on the timing of that, and so the difficulty here is, we are sure it's going to turn to the northwest, but whether that does that, how soon that occurs makes a big difference on the landfall point here. So no matter what happens, this, like Katrina, is becoming a large hurricane, not just a powerful one, but a large hurricane will have an impact over a very large area of the Texas, Louisiana, and even some impact all the way over into Mississippi and Alabama.
That far east. How wide is this storm now? How far out do the hurricane force winds extend? How far out do the tropical storm winds extend?
Well, the hurricane force winds go out about 60 miles right now. That will likely expand some. The tropical storm force winds go out over 200 miles in the eastern semicircle, and the tide levels here along the Mississippi and even the Alabama coast over near Dauphin Island are about 2 feet above normal now. Before it's all over, they could easily go up 3 to 5 feet. So those folks, even over there in Dauphin Island, for example, they don't have those beautiful sand dunes that they used to have. So I think this will result in some flooding, even over there.
New Orleans, obviously a great concern because of the city already battered, devastated. And I know it's still much too early to focus with great accuracy on this, but is it your sense that New Orleans is going to be spared the worst of the storm at its outer reaches?
It will definitely be spared the worst of the hurricane. The core of the hurricane will be well to the west of New Orleans, but we did extend the tropical storm warning to include all the southeastern coast of Louisiana, including New Orleans. They'll probably get tropical storm force winds and these outer rain bands and the squalls that come through, and not sustained winds. They're of storm force for any length of time. But unfortunately, they'll also get 3 to 5 inches of rain, and that's the last thing they need to hear.
145 mile an hour sustained winds. Max, do you expect this storm, is it possible that this storm could strengthen significantly from here?
I think it's very possible that tonight we'll see some strengthening again. It's moving over a warm eddy in the Gulf of Mexico, meaning that not only do we have very warm water, but it's very deep water, and that's the source of it's high octane fuel. The upper level environment is still favorable, so we'll likely see some fluctuation between now and landfall. But tonight I would not be a bit surprised to see it strengthen, and it could even come back to Category 5 strength.
Max, thank you very much, and of course we'll be following this along with you throughout the evening through tomorrow and beyond. Max Mayfield, director of the National Hurricane Center. Tonight, Houston is one of the biggest metropolitan areas in this country. It is bracing for the impact of Hurricane Rita. Millions of people are trying to flee the area, but huge traffic jams already clogging highways. People trying to flee by air as well were delayed by the failure of key airport staff to show up for work today. Nancy Holland of our affiliate KHOU has the very latest for us. Nancy?
The lines have truly been incredible today. Not since the weekend after 9/11, when airlines started flying again, have I seen anything resembling this kind of lines that completely filled Houston's airports, stretched out the door and down the ramps. It was literally taking some people 4 hours to check in for their flights. It was so crowded that I personally saw 2 people just pass out from standing in line. Now, the airline workers were even out trying to hand out water to people, trying to do what they could to help them. One of the big problems, as you mentioned, was that some key people did not come to work today. Some of the TSA workers, especially the screeners, really made those lines going through security very, very difficult for people, and the lines stretched seemingly interminably. Now, all flights out of Houston are going to stop at noon tomorrow. So there has been a real rush to get flights. People have tried to come out here hoping to get on a plane. That has been utterly futile. But people were getting on flights. People are leaving. There are still flights that are leaving, but they have told people if you don't have a ticket, don't even bother to come out. So in the last couple of hours, we have seen a little bit of a thinning of the crowds here. That is not true about the highways. There are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people still trying to flee by way of the highways. Just to give you some idea, it can take up to 12 hours to go 60 miles. That's what Houston looks like tonight. Back to you.
Nancy, that is incredible. Houston, first of all, opening its arms to all of the evacuees from New Orleans, doing a wonderful job. The school system, your city government, all of the people of Houston. Then with all of this warning and making such an early effort to evacuate, still running into these problems. Is there a sense that things are improving now, that this crush is ebbing, and that tomorrow people will be able to flee perhaps a little bit more without the congestion and all of the frustration?
There's a bit of an ebb and flow on the freeways. As people see how heavy it is, they may delay their start a little bit. There are times that you can make much better times than others, but there's simply no way to predict. The airlines do seem to be getting the word out that you just can't come out here. There aren't any flights left. If you don't have a confirmed flight, you're not going to be able to buy a ticket. And incidentally, I talked with one woman today who said, I came here from New Orleans. My kids have been in school 2 days. I have to leave again. I'm going to Atlanta, and I am not coming back.
Nancy Holland, KHOU, we thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. Recent studies and weather forecasts say we are entering a very active hurricane cycle. Forecasters say, in fact, hurricane behavior will likely revert to patterns not seen since early in the last century. Since that time, Americans have flocked to coastal areas. And as Hurricane Katrina and Rita are proving and will prove, millions of Americans are now living dangerously. Christine Romans has the report.
The threat of hurricane disaster is greater today than at any time in our history because so many of us now live and work in high-risk coastal areas. And despite the high risks, the Census Bureau reports 87 million Americans live within striking distance of an Atlantic season hurricane. That's 30% of our population. In Florida today, more people live in Broward and Dade counties than lived in the entire southeastern United States in 1930.
There are more people that are moving from other states to these states where you have warmer weather and coastal areas because it's an attractive area to live. And then you have a lot of migrants coming in from other countries that are also attracted to these areas because they have a lot of social support networks in those areas.
And Hurricane Rita is set to strike in the most vulnerable region, already demonstrated by Hurricane Katrina's devastation. The population density of the Gulf Coast is twice the national average, and the 50,000 square coastal miles from Louisiana to the Florida Keys are 3.5 times more populous today than in 1950, making evacuation more difficult and property damage more likely and severe.
If you take this sea level rise from global warming, plus growing intensity of hurricanes, plus the fact that we've built so many communities and put so many people in harm's way already, you're talking about a recipe for continuing suffering and economic damage.
Damage along a vast stretch of our nation's coastland. Since 1950, coastal populations have exploded from Texas, along the rest of the Gulf Coast, to Florida and the Carolinas. At the same time, forecasters say these are the most likely targets for deadly hurricane destruction. Of course, someone has to pay to rebuild these devastated areas after a hurricane falls. Homeowners, insurance companies, and the federal government. The government share alone comes to at least $200 for every man, woman, and child in this country. That's just for the congressionally approved federal spending, just for the damage so far, just from Katrina.
And we know that that is just the first installment.
Indeed.
Christine, thank you very much. Christine Romans. As this powerful hurricane season continues to pummel us, one question is certainly being raised by nearly everyone in the country time and again. Is there a link between these powerful hurricanes and global warming? Joining me now to discuss the issue from Washington, Brenda Eckwurzel, who is the climate scientist of the Union of Concerned Scientists National Climate Education Program, Patrick Michaels, who is professor of environmental science at the University of Virginia, and joining me from Atlanta, Peter Webster, professor of Georgia Tech School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. Thank you all for being here. Let me just start out, if I may, with you, Brenda. Is there a direct connection between global warming and what we are seeing in terms of powerful hurricanes smashing into this country right now?
We would never point to a single weather event and blame global warming. While hurricanes have bedeviled the Gulf Coast region for years, global warming is making matters worse. Recent scientific evidence has proven that our excess atmospheric carbon dioxide is warming the oceans, and those warmer oceans are converting low-grade storms into powerful hurricanes. In short, the warm oceans are like fuel to a hurricane. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
And Peter Webster, do you agree? As Brenda says, certainly more than one cause, but she makes a compelling case for the role that global warming is playing here.
Well, our recent study has shown that the sea surface temperature has increased in all the ocean basins where hurricanes form. And they have very similar trends to what we're seeing in the Atlantic Ocean. Slightly decreased hurricanes, which is strange, but more intense ones. And this fits in both with the theories of Kerry Emanuel for his intensity potential, and also with the recent modeling studies of 2 times CO2, which show much more intense hurricanes. So over the last 20, 30 years, we see from this limited study that there's been a doubling of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes.
Patrick Michaels, your thoughts?
Well, what we are hearing here is a testable hypothesis that warming is associated with increased strong hurricanes. I have a graphic which I hope we can put up, which shows data from the National Hurricane Center going back to 1860. The planet warmed about 1 degree.
Can we put that up? There we go.
About 1 degree the planet warmed over this period, 1 degree C. And you can see there's just no trend at all in the hurricane data. With regard to Peter Webster's study, he looked at data from 1970 to the present, because that's when satellite coverage begins. We have a record in the Atlantic of hurricane severity that's very good from Hurricane Hunter aircraft that goes back to 1944. And when you look at that data, what you see is the proportion of Category 4 and Category 5 hurricanes in the 1940s and 1950s is precisely what it is today, and there was no warming from human beings in the 40s and the 1950s.
Yeah. Brenda,
these are testable hypotheses, and we really have to tell the whole story on this, rather than just part of it.
Very true. It is a testable hypothesis, but not by just looking at Atlanta data. For example, I'm sure Lou Dobbs would not take a poll in New York and infer that America thought the same as New York. You can't just look at Atlanta, and you can't just look at landfalling hurricanes and infer that globally one thing is happening or not.
Right. I'll tell you what, there's other things we can do. We could take a look at damage costs from hurricanes and adjust them for population increases along our coast and for property value increases, as we saw in the previous segment. And everyone knows that there has been no increase in damages.
That's still just looking at New York and inferring what people are thinking in Kansas.
Let me ask what Dr. Eckwurzel is thinking. Brenda, the fact is that these numbers are focus in this chart with these numbers focus on the major hurricanes, Category 3s, 4s, and 5s. And what do you make of this? Max Mayfield, the director of the National Hurricane Center, is very clear. He sees greater activity now and expects greater activity in the years ahead. What are your thoughts when you look at the peak in the 1940s and what has been, if one can even use the word benign in connection with these storms, a benign period, relatively benign period over the past 30 years?
We know that cycles such as the El Nino in the Pacific and other cycles in the Atlantic that go by different names influence hurricane frequency, which is a separate issue. I liken it to these cycles are going on, but when a storm naturally arises, we have new evidence that the warmer oceans are powering these storms. It's kind of like nature's rolling the dice, and now we have loaded dice due to global warming.
Brenda, thank you very much. Patrick, we thank you. Peter, we appreciate it, and I'm sure we're going to be debating this issue for some time to come. We appreciate your insights. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you.
New signs tonight that it will take more than a hurricane to keep New Orleans down. Strippers are back in the French Quarter, believe it or not. Exotic dancers are once again entertaining police, firefighters, and military personnel at Bourbon Street's Deja Vu Club, which reopened this week. In the words of one of the dancers, quote, "All of these men need some entertainment." And entertainment they have. Still ahead, why some say federal flood insurance gives people a false sense of security and makes them build where they absolutely should not. And strong but not unanimous support for Chief Justice nominee John Roberts. Our senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin joins us to give us his insight into today's Senate Judiciary Committee vote, paving the way for Judge Roberts' confirmation. Stay with us.
George had a very full life. He tried to provide the very best for you. He was very active in the market, and apparently still is.
George, is that you?
You can't always be online, but with Trade Triggers, you don't need to be. It automatically enters your trades when the market hits conditions you specify. Join now and get up to 35 commission-free trades plus $100 cash back.
George?
Oh, sorry. That was me. Trade Triggers, just one of the many 21st century tools on Ameritrade.
The medicines, the plastics, the materials, things that make modern life modern come from one place, chemistry. Learn more at AmericanChemistry.com.
When I look back on everything, I see 100 years of moments, 100 years of our incredible history. I was there when the first keg was tapped. I've seen the growth and optimism of a young country and all the great minds that give us reason to celebrate. I've been there for the glory, and I've been there for when it hurts most. I was there the day she said yes, and all the yeses after. These are the moments that matter, the ones we savor with the champagne of beers. Because that's when you shine, and when you shine, I shine. We go hand in hand, you and I. I'm the girl in the moon, and I want to tell you everything I know. Everything there is to savor. Everything.
Continuing our coverage of Hurricane Rita, an update on the day's headlines. Hurricane Rita weakened a bit today to a Category 4 storm. Sustained winds, however, still at 145 miles an hour. That is a powerful monster storm by any standard. It's now expected to make landfall between Galveston, Texas, and southwest Louisiana late Friday or early Saturday. Parts of Louisiana already feeling the outer bands of the storm. A tropical storm warning is now in effect, extending through the New Orleans area. Almost 2 million people in the path for Hurricane Rita are fleeing the storm. Tonight, there are massive traffic jams in both Texas and Louisiana as residents head north to safety and refuge. The Senate Judiciary Committee today voting 13-5 in favor of Chief Justice nominee Judge John Roberts. 5 Democrats, including Senators Biden, Schumer, and Kennedy, voted against Roberts. His nomination now heads to the full Senate. For more now on the nomination of Judge Roberts, our senior analyst, Jeffrey Toobin. Any surprises today, Jeffrey?
Maybe one. One Democrat, there were 3 Democrats who voted for
Judge Roberts, Patrick Leahy, who announced yesterday that he would, and the two senators from Wisconsin, Herb Kohl and Russell Feingold. Russell Feingold, one of the most liberal senators, the only man to vote for the Patriot Act, against the Patriot Act, he voted for Judge Roberts, somewhat of a surprise.
And 13-5, it still shows some bipartisanship here. What do you expect the final vote to be when it reaches the floor?
I think the ratio will be about the same. It looks like Roberts will get something over 2/3 of the senators in the 60 to 70 vote range. And I think that's reflective of about how much support he has. Democrats are somewhat divided. Some of them want to say, hey, we're reasonable, we'll support good nominees like John Roberts and then fight you on the other ones. Others say, look, Roberts is as conservative as we're going to go, and we want to show you we'll vote against him, so President Bush, don't nominate anyone more conservative.
But in point of fact, the president is still the president, has the authority, the power, and the political support to come forward with whomever he wishes.
55 Republicans in the Senate. That's a big hurdle for any Democrats who want to stop at any nominee. So I think the overwhelming likelihood is whoever gets nominated is going to get confirmed.
Your fundamental judgment, if I may, Judge Tubin. Judge Roberts, how strong is he? What is your sense of who he is and what we can expect?
I think it was the best nominee in terms of performance before the committee that certainly I've ever seen in my conscious lifetime. I think he'll go in with enormous support. I don't think it'll be a big change in the court. His politics and judicial philosophy seem very similar to Chief Justice Rehnquist. The big fight will be over Justice Sandra Day O'Connor because she's an abortion rights supporter, an affirmative action supporter. The president supports neither of those. That's where the potential for a big change on the court is.
Jeffrey Tubin, thank you for, as always, being here and guiding us through this process to this point. We look forward to talking with you next week when the vote comes. Jeffrey Tubin. A reminder to vote in our poll tonight. Do you believe the federal government should impose gasoline price freezes during natural disasters? Yes or no? Please cast your vote at bluedobbs.com. We'll have the results coming right up. Still ahead here tonight, we'll have an update on Hurricane Rita, why one victim of Hurricane Isabel, which struck 2 years ago, is still tonight living in a FEMA trailer. Stay with us for that story and a great deal more.
After Katrina, is America ready for the next disaster? CNN Sunday night, we travel across the country and find out, is America prepared? CNN Sunday night, 80s.
Many big developments to tell you about in the
real news in the morning.
We are tracking the investigation.
American morning.
Emergency services are responding.
What happened?
Major corporate scandals.
What's happening?
The police are continuing.
What's essential? American morning. Real news. Soledad O'Brien and Miles O'Brien. American morning. Weekday mornings on CNN.
Sponsored locally by Vic Alfonso Cadillac. What other luxury dealerships try to be?
I can't seem to find the book Into the Mist.
What if everyone had the same level of service as Northwest Community Credit Union?
Sorry, we're all out, but we do have the author.
It was a cold, dark night.
One tall, extra hot, no foam latte.
The service you wouldn't expect from anyone is now available to everyone at Northwest Community Credit Union, where you're more than welcome.
Want a better job? Ready to make a move? Start your search for a better local job right now at PortlandJobFinder.com. That's where you'll find local employers that are searching for your talent, skills, and experience. PortlandJobFinder.com is easy to use and totally free for job seekers. Log on now to view hundreds of detailed job listings, upload your resume, and find a better job today. PortlandJobFinder.com. It's free for job seekers and good for business.
It's getting big around the Northwest because your Northwest Teen News is now even bigger. Join Austin Reed and Aaron Kelly for Teen Edition from American Teen TV. Get the week's big stories, know the big trends, and see the big plays. Teen Edition, on air, online, and even on demand. Because big kids don't like waiting around. Thursdays at 6 and Saturdays at 10 on CNW 14.
The weather is the news. Trust CNN. It's essential.
Hurricane Katrina is not the first time the federal government failed to do what it promised in the wake of disaster. Tonight, a disturbing personal account of the government's broken promises. Tom Foreman has the story.
When Hurricane Isabel slammed into the East Coast in 2003, Eileen Thaden's house in Maryland was among dozens severely damaged or destroyed. She had national flood insurance administered by FEMA, so she wasn't worried.
Really, there's nothing left of our life from before. There really isn't.
But she says the settlement she was offered was less than half of the $250,000 she needed to repair her house. So 2 years later, she is still living in a FEMA trailer, bitter and broke.
If they just did what was right from the very beginning, we would have our lives back. We would be just fine. That's all we ever asked for them. We weren't looking for more.
FEMA officials have long promoted flood insurance as the best means of recovery from flood damage, but critics of the program say don't believe it.
Oh, no. That's a false sense of security.
Steve Canstrom, a victim's advocate whose home was also damaged in the storm, started a website about the problems with flood insurance. He says he's got complaints from 14 states and a warning for the Gulf Coast.
There's no white horse coming in to save you. If you have a substantial loss, you're about to be in for the fight of your life.
FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees FEMA, say nonsense. Complaints about flood insurance are quite rare, and they say it was never meant to cover all rebuilding expenses anyway. But their own website says flood insurance lets you keep the peace of mind in knowing you're not left to cover the losses yourself. And the new acting director says he wants to know more about these complaints and the lawsuit that's been filed by policyholders, including Eileen Thaden.
Again, I'm not familiar with the particular issues. I've asked for a briefing from my staff. I think it came up earlier. Then I'm going to find exactly what that issue is.
We understand they can't live forever in shelters.
With FEMA under so much pressure right now, Eileen Thaden is hoping her 2-year battle might finally lead to something good, but she's not betting on it. The last thing she heard from FEMA is they want to close her case, and they want their trailer back too. Tom Foreman, CNN, Washington.
Taking a look now at some of your thoughts, George in Burlington, North Carolina, saying, I don't hear any of the elected officials in Washington suggesting that they should take a cut in pay and services to help pay for the disaster. All they ever recommend is cutting needed programs or raising taxes. CJ in Salt Lake City, Utah, price gouging by these oil companies in the wake of these terrible disasters is no different than looting. Ron in Loveland, Colorado, I heard a political person say that the rise in gas prices was due to fear. I'm sorry, I thought it was greed. Our U.S. oil companies are making huge profits. Another example of corporate theft and no controls in place to protect the consumer. Bill in Madison, Connecticut, years ago I didn't think highly of you, but wow, how you've changed my opinion. The last year or two you have been a tiger fighting for the American worker. All I can say is thanks. Thank you. And Barry in Sedona, Arizona, with a different view. Your media coverage is obviously very biased to the left. You are creating the truth. This is a breach of your responsibility. You all deserve to be, quoting now, bitch slapped. Not quoting any further. We love to hear from you, usually. Send us your thoughts at LouDobbs.com. Each of you whose email is read on the broadcast receives a copy of my book, Exporting America. And if you want our email newsletter, sign up on our website, LouDobbs.com. Now the results of tonight's poll. 93% of you say the federal government should impose gasoline price freezes during natural disasters. Still ahead here, we'll update you on the top story of the evening, and of course, and that is Hurricane Rita. And we'll have all the very latest details on the approach of the monster storm. Stay with us.
Schwab Street Smart Pro. We're talking a stock screener with 140 criteria to help hone your search, a sector tool that shows which industries are moving, and conditional alerts that trigger automatically, all in one advanced trading platform. All for just $9.95 a trade. Schwab Street Smart Pro. Test drive it now at schwab.com/pro.
Imagine how much energy it takes to fuel an entire city of 1 million households, day and night, for 6 years. That's how much energy Kerr-McGee will recover from just one deep water field with just one production spar that produces offshore oil and gas where we couldn't before. Nobody delivers America's energy to Americans like the deep-water explorers of Kerr-McGee.
Can you tell the difference between these pet medications? They're the same brand, but this medication costs a lot less and is delivered right to my door. That's the 1-800-PET-MEDS difference. Great savings, fast service, free shipping. Order now.
Let's go, girls.
Go places this weekend at 50% off. Rent Friday to Monday, 50% off. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
For tough stains, it's the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. It cleans food from the microwave and shoe scuffs from the floor. It erases soap scum from the bathtub. Then it's on to patio chairs and even car wheels. The Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Discover 1,001 places to clean. Pass it on.
Closed captioning provided by Head On, the new headache treatment applied directly to the forehead.
Head On, introducing a new headache treatment applied directly to the forehead. How fast do you want relief from your headaches and migraines? Head On. It's safe and it really works. In stores now.
An update now on the approach of Hurricane Rita. This massive storm, nearly 400 miles across, weakened somewhat this afternoon, but it is still a dangerous Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds of 145 miles an hour, and some strengthening is now expected. Rita is also expected to hit still between Galveston, Texas, and the Texas border with Louisiana late Friday or early Saturday morning. People fleeing the storm are facing record heat and huge traffic jams as they evacuate the Texas coast and southeast Louisiana. Nearly 2 million residents in the path of the hurricane have been ordered to leave their homes and head north. And a tropical storm warning is out tonight for the New Orleans region, already devastated, of course, by Hurricane Katrina. New Orleans could see gale force winds from the hurricane, that city bracing for new flooding and a 5-foot storm surge. As of tonight, Judy Miller, the Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times reporter, has been imprisoned for 78 days for protecting her confidential sources in the White House CIA leak case. Thanks for being with us tonight. Please join us here tomorrow. My guests include a science journalist who earlier this year predicted a Category 4